Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy KCM, What Ifs. Today we are going to be reading the sealed kunai, or what if Naruto had his true potential sealed away. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. The call for Kumo's shinobi to fan out and search the countryside for Yugito had gone out, and a three-man team had come to a stop to get their bearings of their surroundings as they sat on a boulder to take a rest. A dark-skinned man with shaggy white hair and a white one-shoulder Kumo flak jacket over his high-collared, sleeveless Kumo uniform said. On his left and right arms he had the kanji for lightning and water tattooed, and on his back he had a large cleaver blade. These guys were able to get Yukito. How is Raikage-sama sure she's still around here? We don't have a trace of her presence at all. Calm down, Darui. A young blonde man with a sleeveless black shirt, black pants, his white one-shoulder Kumo flak jacket, elbow-length arm guards, and red and white shin guards replied, "If she's anywhere around Kumo, I'll be able to find her. No problem." Daru sighed. "I know but what if she isn't?" He was cut off when a series of large rising pillars of flame shot into the sky, before merging into one massive torrent of fire. What the hell was that? The blonde man, stood up abruptly with a serious look on his face. "I don't know, but the chakra that thing is pumping out is one hell of a beacon for me to follow." Darui rose to his feet, watching the unnatural flaming structure. "You think it's Yugito?" She snickered. "Do you know anyone else that pumps that much chakra into their jutsu?" He stopped laughing and motioned for them to move. "Jay, get one of your messenger lizards to Raikage-sama fast. We've got to get moving." The man named Jay, a bald, dark-skinned man with sunglasses and his Kumo Hita Ete on his head, an apparel similar to the rest of his teammates, finished writing a small message on a scroll that he gave to a small lizard. "Get this to Raikage-sama, coordinates on Yugito's possible position." What if Yugito got taken by a cultist group that worships the Nibi and want to free its spirit to get its revenge on Kumo for imprisoning it for so many years? A white-haired, dark-skinned boy with a sucker in his mouth pondered. "Omoe, shut up with your overthinking crap," his dark-skinned, red-haired teammate replied. "Me and Samui are getting sick of hearing your bullshit theories on what happened to Yugito. All we have to do is find her now, mind on the mission." Omoe visibly deflated. "You don't have to be so angry about it, Karui." He then perked back up. "But you are acting kind of defensive. Is there something you would like to tell us? Like maybe what you did with Yugito?" His answer was a fist to the head. "Ow!" Karui glared at him. "I'm running out of patience with you. Now focus or I'll break your jaw and shut you up for good." Samui looked back at her teammates that she was leading. "Both of you focus. No one has been able to find a sliver of a clue about her whereabouts or even who took her. We're operating blind here." A faint sound of explosion rang out before a series of rising pillar of flames came into view in the distance. Omoe pointed lamely in that direction. "Not anymore." Karui stared at the ever-growing infernos as they seemed to merge together and grow larger. "God, what on earth did that?" "I'll give you one guess." Samui was already on the move towards that area with Karui and Omoe right with her. "With Naruto and Yugito." Yugito and Naruto's fire and wind ninjutsu had combined and caused a major upswell of fire in the form of a towering tornado that burned the entire environment, leaving the already barren landscape utterly lifeless and scarred with cinder. Wind release. Great breakthrough. Naruto rid the general area around him and Yugito of all of the smoke and charred debris scattered about from their combination attack. "I think we were standing way too close to that," he said as he wiped the blackness from the heat off of his face. Yugito, covered in soot, cleared out her lungs with a few coughs as well. "You think? Did we get them?" Naruto shook his head. "Not a chance in hell." He tried peering through the leftover smoke, but kept on his toes as he knew their respective chakra cloaks made them beacons to Hidan and Kakuzu. "I cut one of their heads off last time we fought and he still kept coming." "If it was going to be as easy as spamming a big-ass fireball, then wouldn't you have been able to beat them alone?" Yugito bristled at the remark. "But look at this," she said as the land around them was colored black due to the intensity of the flames they generated. "That had to do something. That would have put one of us down for the count for sure." Naruto remained silent as they walked along the smoldering battlefield and reached to his back, only to gasp in surprise before realization set in. Fuck. They disarmed me before we did that combination. As a substitute, he pulled out a kunai and held it in a reverse grip for defensive purposes as they continued along the area. There should be bodies, a char mark, something to let us know we got them. There was no way they got out of that one, Yugito said as her chakra cloak billowed around her. Yugito channeled the Nibi's chakra to her eyes to assist her seeing through the smoke. She wordlessly pointed off in a direction that she and Naruto then followed to find Hidan leaning against a wall breathing heavily. The top of his Akatsuki cloak had burned and stuck to his skin in certain places, and from the view of many other part of his skin it was clear that much of his front took intense third-degree burns from Naruto and Yugito's combined ninjutsu. From the way he was shaking, Yugito figured that he was in shock from his injuries. "You're still alive. I'm surprised." Naruto held his kunai up high. "I'm not. Where's your partner?" Yugito looked at Naruto. "Look at this guy, Naruto. Just because he survived doesn't mean the other one did. This guy is on his last legs himself, so why would you? You fucking bastards." Hidan roared as he threw his scythe at Yugito. Naruto grabbed her arm and pulled her out of the way of the incoming blade. "You're both really pissing me off. It's getting really hard for me to not flat out want to kill you two. Especially you girly, we already beat you once." Yugito glared at him harshly. "How are you still alive and able to move? That should be agonizing." "Oh, it is," Hidan assured her. "But you've got to hit harder than that to stop me. I'm an immortal bitch. You know, I can't die." "The punk-ass brat next to you should know better than you." Naruto sighed. "Yugi-chan, I told you that I cut his head off, and he still cursed me out and kept coming." Naruto let go of her. "Now where the hell is your partner?" Hidan smirked. "Would you believe me if I said that you killed him?" He chuckled as Naruto gave him a dry look. "I didn't think you would, neither did he." Lightning release. False darkness. Naruto and Yugito moved aside as a spear of lightning cut into the ground where they were standing. Both Jinchuriki split apart to avoid the jutsu, but found a flaw with their plan of evasion when the bolt of lightning branched out and followed them both. The solid rock of Kumo's mountain range was effortlessly carved into by the force of the arcing lightning. "One chance to get this thing off of me," Naruto said as he formed hand seals on the move and crossed his arms in an X to finish. Wind release, whirlwind pyramid. A sudden wind kicked up around Naruto's body, strong enough to deflect the quick and forceful lightning attack off to the side, effectively ending the threat it posed him and allowing him to move back in to continue fighting. He was cut off from rejoining and assisting Yugito by Hidan appearing in front of him with his scythe drawn for attack. Naruto grit his teeth in anger at being diverted by the immortal berserker. "Do you even know any ninjutsu or genjutsu at all?" Hidan smirked. "Nope, just one really. I'm pretty straightforward, you know what you're going to get with me, but does that mean you can stop it?" Hidan started swinging at Naruto, who found it difficult to dodge due to the angles of Hidan's strikes. It was clear he was used to fighting people with extreme dexterity, as his attacks were tailor-made for opponents that were far more mobile than he was. Naruto barely diverted a slash from Hidan's scythe with the kunai in his hand. But seeing how close he came to actually taking a cut from the wicked weapon, he needed to get that damn thing away from him. Hidan attempted a cross slash that Naruto stopped by grabbing onto the pole of the weapon with both hands before it could impale him. Hidan kicked low at Naruto's shin, disrupting his balance and his grip. Hidan butted the pole into Naruto's face and knocked him back before swinging at him again. Naruto ducked, losing a few stray hairs in the process and pissing off Hidan further. "Just bleed already, damn it. What do I have to do to draw blood on you?" "Aim better for one," Naruto said, as his fist collided with Hidan's scythe pole in an attempt to hit the man in the face. He dropped low for a kick, but Hidan shifted the scythe to block him again, and kicked him backwards across the ground. A kick that Naruto easily recovered from. For second, you need to be faster. Meanwhile, Yugito was still dodging Kakuzu's Reitan. "Jian, how long can he hold this jutsu for? He must have the reserves of 6 shinobi to keep this up for so long." Using the Naibi's chakra kept her a step ahead of the lightning due to her not having a defensive jutsu, the likes of Naruto, that was strong against lightning ninjutsu. Where is it even coming from? I can't even see the guy firing it. Yugito sharply abstracted her forward motion with a back handspring and started moving closer to the source of the lightning through the smoke that was still hanging around the battlefield. She played a dangerous game by twisting around the dangerous attack and dodging its branching stems of electricity that tried hitting her as she ran. She eventually found the source of the lightning in another one of Kakuzu's black thread creatures with a mask. As she caught sight of the creature, it broke off its attack and sent out some of the threads that composed its body to ensnare her. Yugito turned up the heat of her blue, protective, flaming chakra cloak to keep them from touching her. I'm so tired of you Akatsuki assholes. She got back out of range of Kakuzu's mask and opened her mouth, channeling chakra all the while. Fire release, laser beam. Yugito fired a thin, straight, narrow red laser from her mouth that instantly impacted off of the mask of the creature and burned a hole right through, coming out the back of it and continuing on to burn a deep hole into the side of the mountain. Kakuzu's masked creature immediately collapsed in a quivering mass of black thread as the mask that signified its face cracked. You troublesome upstarts. Yugito turned her head at the sound of Kakuzu's voice. You brats destroyed 2 of my hearts with your last 2 attacks. Kakuzu no longer had his Akatsuki cloak on. Instead, he had on a black sleeveless shirt revealing muscle tone and visible stitches that carried all across his body. The mask was now vacant from his face and showed that he had shoulder-length brown hair and stitches around the edges of his mouth. Yugito narrowed her eyes at him. What the hell do you mean 2 of your hearts? Kakuzu turned around to show her 3 masks sewn into his back, one of them cracked, and a vacant spot that looked like it used to be filled. The mask you just destroyed was my lightning heart, and that combination jutsu you and the QB boy launched destroyed my earth heart. Mask. Heart. Yugito thought before her eyes widened. Each one of those masks is a heart? You have 5 hearts. Had? Kakuzu corrected. I had 5 hearts before I fought you and the boy. Now I have 3. But that is of no real consequence. I'll simply have to replace them after we capture the 2 of you. We are in the land of lightning. I'm certain I can find a replacement lightning element heart somewhere. Yugito smirked. So you're not really immortal. All I have to do is kill you 3 more times before you're gone for good, right? Kakuzu chuckled at the simplified plan of action. You say it like it's going to be easy, little girl. Hidan, get over here! He shouted to his partner, who was still swiping furiously at Naruto, who was shocked that he was still able to move at that intensity after attacking for as long as he had been. I'm a bit busy right now, Kakuzu. Hidan yelled back as he carried on with his assault on Naruto. This kid's gonna get sluggish soon and then it's game over for him. Naruto scoffed and kept narrowly avoiding Hidan's attacks. Noticing that the silver-haired man was beginning to get his timing down and had stopped openly telegraphing his attacks. Please, if you're waiting on me to get tired just from moving around like this, you'll be here for the next 3 days. That was a lot of bluster because at this rate Hidan was going to inevitably hit him. He was adapting to Naruto's style of movement very well, he had to give him that. And the way he kept coming forward was annoying enough to press other shinobi into making mistakes. As Hidan got tunnel vision on getting a shot in on Naruto, he failed to notice Yugito come at him from his blind spot, narrowly sliding out of the way of a kick from the girl only to end up eating a haymaker from Naruto right in the mouth that sent him flying at least 30 yards away, due to the Kyobi's chakra giving Naruto's considerable natural strength a boost. Yugito landed at Naruto's side and smirked at him. Good shot, Naruto-kun. Naruto shook his right hand out. Yeah, it was. It took long enough for the team to drop his guard. Naruto looked at the fist he used to hit Hidan when he felt it stinging, and saw a small cut on his knuckle, but shrugged it off as irrelevant. Yugito, however, looked at his knuckle in abject horror. What's the matter, Yugi-chan? She looked over at Hidan, who was slowly getting up. Did he cut you? Naruto looked at his fist. Yeah, I must have cut my hand on his teeth when I punched him or something. No, Yugito said hopelessly. Yes, cursed jutsu. Death-controlling possessed blood, Hidan said victoriously as he stood up. His skin now marked black with white outline that made him look like a skeleton. As he reached his feet, he revealed a red symbol similar to the one around his neck drawn into the ground, And now you lose, brat. Naruto rolled his eyes. What is this asshole babbling about? Nothing is any different than it was 2 minutes ago. You're still an immortal douche and you still haven't gotten a decent hit on me yet, and now I'm going to finish tearing you apart. Naruto made a set of hand seals and placed his palms on the ground. Lightning release. Live wire jutsu. Lightning raced from Naruto's hands along the ground towards Hidan, who did nothing to move. Instead of moving, Hidan slowly began laughing, and when the jutsu hit him and began electrocuting him, his laughter turned downright manic and insane. Naruto wondered why he was cackling away like a lunatic until he saw the jutsu hit Hidan, and then he felt as if he had been the one to take the hit, as he felt the muscle stiffening effect of the electricity that should have been coursing through Hidan's body. His vision went spotty as the smell of burning flesh filled the air. Naruto-kun. Yugito watched Naruto drop to the ground as his frame began to smoke. She tried helping him to his feet only to take a subtle aftershock as Naruto's body was still able to complete a live circuit. Again, she tried and succeeded in picking him up to his feet as he leaned on her. What the fuck just happened? Naruto asked, still out of it. Yugito shook her head. That was how they beat me. They ended up getting a wound on me. That guy ingested my blood, and then everything that happened to his body happened to me in return. Naruto glared at Hidan. You think this is going to stop me, you son of a bitch? Hidan licked his lips. I know this is going to stop you. He drew a pike from his ruined cloak and extended it to full length. I owe you a few wounds, brat. Hidan stabbed the pike into his left foot, delighting as he heard Naruto shout in pain. The blood started coming out of a phantom wound on Naruto's foot. He shouted in pain again and collapsed back to the ground when Hidan stabbed the other foot. Hidan dug the pike into his foot and ground it around, sighing in relief at the pain he was inflicting on himself and Naruto. Come on, Kyuubi brat! Don't tell me this is all you can take! We're just starting to get acquainted. Sharing utter physical anguish like this lets me bond with my victims, so don't give up yet. Give me some fight. Naruto stood back up, ignoring the wounds in his foot. Is that the best you've got, you talentless piece of shit? Naruto growled out. I can sleepwalk through this, Yugito hissed at Naruto. What the hell are you doing? Naruto turned to Yugito with his eyes shadowed by his hair. He can't kill me. As long as he can't kill me, he can't stop me. There's nothing he himself can do to himself to actually stop me. This is where my demented physical training is going to come into handy. Naruto started breaking out in a run towards Hidan, actually surprising the man that he was able to do so. His surprise faded quickly as he drove the pike into the meat of his own thigh to bring Naruto's advance to a stop with their link. Yugito grit her teeth at Naruto's desperate attempt to reach Hidan and turned her anger to Kakuzu, who was smirking at the sight of Naruto's struggle. I told him to just let us have you and we would leave him alone. He brought this on himself. That got her attention. Why would he do that? I'm not even a ninja of his village. Would he really put himself in harm's way like that for me? Our villages aren't even allies. Kakuzu shrugged. That's what I said. But he said if we wanted you, we had to take you both. And I don't have any problems with that. Kakuzu clapped his hands and motioned towards himself in a patronizing fashion. Here, kitty kitty. Yugito was within a hair of going full Nibi and attempting to tear him apart when Naruto yelled out to her. Yugi-chan, you better remember what I said to you, goddammit. She turned to him to see him picking himself up off of the ground. Get fucking moving already. Yugito shook her head to him, getting Naruto to sneer at her. That wasn't an option. Naruto threw a mass of kunai that spread all around, some nearly hitting Yugito and some nearly hitting Kakuzu. The unmasked Nukenin openly laughed at the blonde boy. What was that? You too disoriented and faint to throw your weapons anymore? Kiss my ass, Scarface. Naruto said as he made hand seals. Lightning release. Electric field. Kakuzu found himself encased in a roughly shaped dome of electric chakra. You threw those kunai too. That's right, dumbass. Naruto said as he held the seals for the jutsu. Who throws kunai that badly and lives this long? He turned to Yugito. Now I'm not asking you, Yugito, I'm telling you. Get the fuck out of here and find someone to help you. Tears started pushing to Yugito's eyes. You can't tell me you're just going to give up, that you're going to lose to them here. Naruto smiled weakly and shook his head. It was never about winning or losing, Yugi-chan. Go! Yugito stood in place for a moment before taking off back towards Kumogakure. Kakuzu tried to force his way through the barrier only to bounce off, getting a little electric shock for his troubles. So what's your plan, boy? To keep me trapped here? To keep us trapped here? We're the ones that have you at our mercy, not the other way around. Naruto smirked at him. You're right, so why doesn't Hidan just leave and chase her down so that you and me can have it out? There's nothing keeping him there. Hell, he can even stab at me while we're fighting, can't he? Just by attacking himself. Naruto's smirk turned to a manic grin. Unless he has to stay right where he is to keep his little link to me. Am I right? He shouted at both Akatsuki members. Shut up, brat! Hidan yelled back, and he dug his pike back into his thigh, bringing Naruto to his knees. Naruto's laughing fit hit a hitch when he took the damage that Hidan dealt out. But it came right back. No matter what you two do, there's no way I'm letting go of this jutsu. You both know I have the chakra to hold you here for as long as I want. Hidan can't move because the second he moves, I will unleash all hell on him. And every second I hold you there, Kakuzu Yugi-chan gets farther and farther away. Kakuzu glared at his electric prison. You think you've won? You think this is over? Naruto shook his head. No, I don't think I've won. At best, this is the ultimate stalling tactic. But it's better than letting you get us both. Even if you catch me, you said it yourself that you have to wait to seal the QB last, so that gives time for a rescue attempt. And to even seal me, you have to at least catch Gaara, re-catch Yugi-chan, and I'm not even going to mention Kirabi. If you can put him down, then you deserve to take the Kyuubi. So what you said to the girl? Kakuzu pieced together about how it was never about winning or losing. Naruto nodded. It was never about winning or losing, it was about surviving. And I'd say that we're both going to survive this one. Don't you think? Kakuzu frantically turned to Hidan. Hidan, make him drop the barrier now. Hidan started pounding away at his legs and arms with his pike, trying to weaken Naruto's hold on the seal he had his hands held in. He repeatedly stabbed away at his left arm. Let go of the jutsu, damn you! You can't keep taking this, no one can! Naruto held his teeth together and hung tough as the Kyuubi now had time to heal his other injuries due to Hidan's focus on his arm. And the way he was, his healing increased due to the one-tailed cloak surrounding him. I can take this all day, you fucking wuss. Is that all you've got? All you're willing to do to get me to break? I've taken worse than this when I was 6 years old. Kill me. Fucking do it already, you pussy. You can't break the jutsu, he said before breaking into loud, pain-filled laughter. Hidan shrieked insanely as he started carving up his own chest with the pike, trying to up the ante. Shut the fuck up. What's the matter? Naruto roared. Aren't you having fun? Weren't you enjoying this just a minute ago? Answer me, goddammit. How about you, Kakuzu? You enjoying the show? That's it! Hidan drove the pike directly through the palm of one of his hands and ground it around deeply. One of Naruto's hands went limp. Dropping the jutsu that had Kakuzu trapped, and the Taki Nukenin took off in the direction that Yugito took. Hidan finished the brat off and start getting him out of here. I'm going after the Nibi. Hidan looked himself over. He was a total mess. He had stabbed his arm into hamburger meat. If he could walk after the damage he did to his thighs to keep Naruto on the ground, he would be shocked. And his chest was spilling blood openly, after the carnage he had wrought on himself to hurt Naruto. He found solace in the fact that the intended target of his butchery was looking just as horrible as he was. Naruto's clothing stayed intact, but the blood was seeping through his pants and running down his legs from his wounds on his thighs. His top was sticking to his chest, stained entirely red by the blood from his chest, and blood completely covered his arms from those injuries. Which is why it was so surprising to see Naruto stand right back up so quickly after taking all of that damage to his limbs. Finally. Naruto said in the gravelly voice that using the Kyuubi's chakra gave him. That should be more than enough time for her to give him the slip, and now I've finally got you all to myself. And better yet, you've already done half of my job for me. What the fuck are you on about now? Hidan asked as he still had his pike stuck in his hand. Kakuzu was the real threat the entire time, Naruto said, his face still smirking. While I kept my eyes on Kakuzu the first time we fought, you were always there, just walking right through any offense I threw and coming at me while I was avoiding him. You've even gotten in the way of a few attacks from your partner just so you could hit me. Alone, you're nothing to me. Hidan seethed at the insult. We'll see how much shit you talk after I carve you a new hole to speak out of. He tried pulling at the pike in his hand to deal Naruto more damage, but it stuck fast. Before he could look up, Naruto was in his face, and unleashed a savage uppercut to his body that sent both Hidan and himself flying backwards into rock formations, crumbling them from the force of the impact. The good thing for Hidan was that the punch dislodged the pike from his hand. Naruto emerged from his rubble, spitting blood. It was either that or punch you in the face, and I really don't feel like growing my teeth back right now. Hidan crawled out of his own side. You little bastard, this isn't over. He had to get back inside of the circle or it was indeed over. He could barely move, and yet this punk kid was not only still standing, he could still move about and beat the crap out of him. He had to wonder what was keeping him going. Not only that, but what kind of threshold for pain did he have? Hidan shakily reached his feet and began his all-out rush to reach the Joshing circle to continue his torture of Naruto, when he saw the red blur that was the Kyuubi-powered Naruto coming at him again. Not this time. Hidan pulled his scythe back and blocked Naruto from punching him again when a second tail bubbled from Naruto's chakra cloak. Hidan got a good look at the grinning Naruto, whose face looked like pure evil once his lips took on a black outline, as his red eyes seemed like they locked with his very soul. One of Naruto's chakra tails grasped Hidan's scythe and ripped it from his hands while the other grabbed the man himself and slammed him into the ground heavily. Naruto's tail dragged him through the ground before throwing him into the air and joining with the second tail to swat Hidan off into a cliff wall. Hidan stood back up and shouted with his back turned to the direction he was thrown from. Is that all you've got? I'm immortal, you fucking half-wit. He turned his head only to come face to face with a Naruto brandishing familiar steel. Look what I found. Naruto used the Senenki no Ken to once again sever Hidan's head from his body. As he saw Hidan's head hit the ground and tumble along, he sighed to himself and powered down, letting his fox shroud drop. I'm still alive, you useless waste of sperm. Hidan's bodiless head spouted. I'm going to snatch your bleeding throat out with my teeth. Just get over here. You're so lucky I can't get back up. Naruto slowly walked over. Without the Kyuubi's chakra helping him along, he was starting to feel the strain from the battle. I wonder if I can get your bounty even though you're still alive. Naruto pondered out loud. It should still be good, right? Hidan stopped cursing long enough to look at Naruto with curiosity. Huh? What are you saying? Naruto grinned a bloody smile and reached into his pocket to pull out a storage scroll. Hidan's eyes widened as his motionless head could only watch the process that Naruto had pulled and opened the scroll for. I'll kill you. You fucking demon fox bastard! This isn't over. As long as I'm alive, I'll never rest until I pierce your heart. I'm gonna watch you bleed out in front of me and I'm going to savor it. Do you hear? In a puff of smoke, Naruto had sealed Hidan's head inside of the storage scroll. At that point, the only thing preventing him from collapsing to his knees was the fact that the fight still wasn't over yet. Naruto pocketed the scroll and dragged his sword along the ground in exhaustion as he went off after Kakuzu and Yugito. Is it possible for 15 to be too old for this crap? Yugito hadn't turned back since Naruto told her to run. If she had turned back, she would have gone back to help him. And she figured that going back when he demanded her not to would have pissed him off more than anything else she could have done at that point. Her coils were burning as she continued pumping the Nibiai's chakra throughout her system to keep her body moving towards Kumo. The two fights against Hidan and Kakuzu had really done a number on her. Had Naruto not given her the okay to start using the Nibiai's chakra in the fight, she wouldn't have lasted long enough to even begin fleeing in the first place. Yukito! The voice that had called out to her and got her attention almost made her shout out loud in relief. She! Upon seeing someone friendly that didn't have a demon inside of them, She deactivated her chakra cloak and collapsed on her hands and knees. She, Jay, and Darui came to a stop all around her. Darui kneeled down. Yugito, what happened? Who have you been fighting the whole time? She turned her over onto her back. She needs medical attention, she's really beaten up. He made a few hand seals to get his hands glowing green. Mystical palm jutsu. Yugito looked around at them. Akatsuki tried to kidnap me. Naruto-kun is still back there fighting with them. Someone needs to help him. Darui looked confused. Naruto? Who's Naruto? Jay realized who she was talking about. You mean the kid that came here with Jiraiya of the Sannin from Konoha? Their Jinchuriki, Naruto Uzumaki. He was helping you fight? And he let you get away? Yugito nodded with hopeful eyes when she snorted. Why would we go back and risk our necks for a Konoha ninja when we already have you back, Yugito? He's not our ally. For all you know, he was just fighting with you because it was convenient to him. Yugito narrowed her eyes at her fellow Kumo ninja. He was the one that saved me in the first place. He didn't even have to get himself involved. He's the only reason you were all able to find me at all, and you're just going to leave him to my fate. She nodded. Better him than you. Why does it matter? This way Konoha loses their Jinchuriki. They probably brought him here as a show of force or something. Get off of me! Yugito shouted, forcing Shi to cancel his jutsu when she shoved him while getting up. I'm going back to finish those guys off and help Naruto-kun. You three can sit here with your thumbs in your asses if you want. Ji moved to stop her. Yugito, you're still a mess. She didn't get to do much, and you're just going to re-injure whatever he did, manage to fix. Darui nodded in agreement. Yeah. She didn't have to be such a bastard about it, but he's right in a way. You're risking your neck for this guy. Why? Because he did it for me. Yugito yelled at them. Can't you see that? Do you not get the picture here? There was no incentive, no reason, no actual objective to find me and get me away from them, but he still did it. So why can't someone extend the same damn courtesy to him? Nationality be damned. Well, isn't that sweet? It looks like the Kyubi Jinchuriki lit a fire under your Nibiai Jinchuriki. Yugito paled at the sound of that voice, and immediately turned the Nibi's chakra cloak back on. Kakuzu. She hissed out in anger. What'd you do to Naruto-kun? Kakuzu laughed. Me? Nothing. Hayden probably maimed the brat to put him down, and is probably dragging him across the mountain range as we speak. And look, you even brought me an entire mess of new hearts to replace the ones you destroyed. You're a responsible young lady, aren't you? Yugito flipped him off. Fuck you. I'm going to finish you off. Yes, I'm sure that you will, Kakuzu replied sarcastically. His stitches on his body opened up to reveal a mass of black threads that his two remaining masks were attached to. You and your little friend tried a little combination jutsu a while back on me. Allow me to return the favor. Fire release. Intelligent hard work. Wind release. Pressure damage. Yugito remembered the force that she and Naruto generated with their combined jutsu, and that was a wind and fire combination as well. Kakuzu sounded extremely confident in his own, and that didn't exactly inspire confidence in her for everyone else around her, or even for herself. Get away from him now. Get far away. Hearing someone like Yugito tell them to get away got the other Kumo ninja in gear as they immediately bugged out, and took off running away from Kakuzu just in time for him to launch his attack. One of his masks spit a regular-sized fireball at Yugito, when the other one sent off a tornado-like mask that compressed the fireball before finally releasing it in a white-hot torrent. The intensity of the heat that it generated forced all of the other Kumo ninja to look away. As the attack faded, it revealed that Yugito had to turn into her full Nibi mode in order to block the jutsu for the others. At the end of her rope, she transformed back to normal and dropped to the ground, visibly singed in a few places. She looked at her in disbelief. Did Yuto just lose? Darui grit his teeth. She took the hit for us. If we weren't here, she would have just dodged it and been okay, but she took it for us because we all wouldn't have gotten away. Damn him! She shouted before rushing right towards Kakuzu. I'll finish him myself. Ignoring Darui and Jay telling him to stay put, He went right at Kakuzu while making 4-hand seals. Lightning illusion flash of lightning pillar. An extremely bright light seemed to exude from Shi that blinded Kakuzu. Kakuzu shut his eyes and snapped out his arm that flew off and grasped Shi around the throat before he could take any action to follow up. Kakuzu looked the young man over before smirking. "You're a lightning element, aren't you? Your heart will do just fine for now." Century rush. A red buzzsaw flashed through the area and hacked Kakuzu's arm, holding Shi off, freeing him and letting him retreat back to his own ninja. Jay kneeled over the man as he held his own throat and caught his breath. "Are you all right?" She coughed to get his breathing back to normal. "Who was that?" Narui pointed over to the source of the attack. Naruto stood not far from Kakuzu wearing a bladed pair of gauntlets and greaves, staring at him intently. Kakuzu's good mood vanished as his arm reattached. "You were able to finish Hidan? And how exactly did you get here so fast?" Flashback. Naruto was starting to run of fumes at this point, but the entire situation wasn't over until he and Yugito were safely with someone that they could absolutely trust to ensure their safety. And he sure wasn't going to find that out in the middle of nowhere on the side of a mountain. "I need to catch up to Yugi-chan and see if she's fighting." Naruto squinted as 3 figures came into his view from not too far away. He really wished that they weren't Kakuzu's stupid masks. He was so sick of those things by now it was absurd. "Hey, is that who it looks like?" A fiery female voice called out. "God, he looks like a complete mess." They all came to a stop not far from each other, Naruto breathing heavily and staring at them all. "Hey, Karu, Omoi. Samui. Long time no see you guys." Omoi looked Naruto over and took the sucker out of his mouth. "You look like you lost a fight to a kitchen knife. What in God's name happened to you?" Naruto sighed. "Well, I for sure didn't lose to anything. Yet. Anyway, what are you guys doing here?" He said. Stumbling slightly but playing off his fatigue, Samui spoke up. "Explaining the situation, Raikage-sama ordered our forces to scour the area for Yugito, since it was revealed that she was missing. We saw a massive tower of flame a little ways from here and rushed over, but you were all that we found." Naruto grimaced. "Damn, so you haven't gotten an order to return yet. She's still out here, I need to go now." Naruto ended up getting grabbed on his shoulder by Karui. "Hey, wait, you know where Yugito is? You saw her?" A nod came from the blonde Chunin. "I told her to escape from some unsavory people while I held them in place, but one got away. We were fighting them. That's where the massive fire thing came from." He held up his sword. "I really hate using this thing, but I'm not catching up any other way. Millennium release. Primary materialization." The sword dematerialized and reformed as gray-silver gauntlets around Naruto's arms and greaves on his legs, with wicked blades on the outsides of them. Samui poked at Naruto's weapons in surprise. "What on earth just happened? What are these?" Naruto shook his head. "No time to go into detail right now. Yugi-chan took off back towards Kumo, so you probably missed her, or came here from another side of the mountain range. Follow me, or follow the trail I carve out, because you're not going to be able to follow me directly." With that, Naruto took off at top speed, leaving a trail of dust and up-kicked rock in his wake. "And flashback. Don't worry about that." Naruto said. "Let's finish this once and for all, Stitches. I'm sick of looking at your face." "About that," Kakuzu said before sending 2 of his masks off of his body to attack an incoming contingent of Kumo ninja consisting of Shi, Narui, and Jay. "I don't need anyone interrupting us, you understand?" "Understood." Naruto then rushed in to attack Kakuzu at a speed Kakuzu hadn't seen him move at, a speed faster than when he had been using the Kyuubi's chakra. Kakuzu jumped back out of Naruto's way, but ended up getting cut along his stomach. Black threads poured out of the wound en masse and attempted to swarm Naruto and block him into place. Naruto spun out and cut through the threads as he dropped back in position to avoid a mishap with the threads that had been plaguing him in their last series of conflicts. Kakuzu's body pumped out more black thread than Naruto had ever seen come from Kakuzu's body any time prior to this point. It formed an octopus-type figure around his body and stretched out 20 feet in every direction the arms went. "You're too fast now to allow you to get in close again. Luckily I can keep you off with this. It's a shame you have a very powerful heart." I'd like to take it for myself, to be quite honest. He then whipped his arms at Naruto to initiate an attack. Naruto spun in a rapid circle, turning into a blur as he cut, and repelled Kakuzu's threads before dodging as a second thread appendage smashed into the ground where he had been a moment before. Kakuzu was so far succeeding in keeping Naruto at a distance from him, I already finished off the Nibi. Once I beat you two, you can kiss your infantile ass goodbye. Now say good riddance. Naruto had put on the gauntlets to get the speed boost needed to catch up. He hadn't really planned on how he was going to handle Kakuzu from that point forward, but he did have something to fall back on. Kakuzu had sent off two of his masks to run interference with the rest of the ninja in the area, thus keeping him from spamming multi-elemental jutsu combinations at him. On the other hand, Naruto was beginning to suck wind. Once again, the downside of his weapon was coming into play. For the boost it gave him, it sucked his chakra like a sponge. He was already dipping into the Kyuubi's chakra to keep it from sucking his own reserves dry. At this rate, it was only a matter of time. XXXXJ dodged another katan. Zukaku from Kakuzu's fire element mask. Who the hell is this guy? What are these? The heat from the attack licked at his body as he stayed out of its range. Darui had drawn his cleaver blade, and had been attempting to hack away at the wind element mask that had been keeping its distance since he didn't feel like dodging any wind attacks from it. Yugito's been fighting these things, her and that kid. He cut through its body only for it to reform right in front of his eyes. Shit, how was she doing? She had carried Yugito out of the line of fire and was once again hard at work healing her injuries. Only this time she had a few burns to go with her pre-existing wounds. She's going to be out of it for a while. She's not getting back up. Her insides are wrecked. How long has she been lasting like this? Darui had enough of the regenerating freaky mask creature running roughshod all over them and made a dragon hand seal. Storm release, laser circus. A halo of bright light formed around his hands and shot off several beams of electricity at both masks. The fire mask showed awareness to the situation and took cover behind some rocky formations, while the wind mask simply attempted to dodge in the open field. It got a nasty surprise when the beams of light maneuvered back around towards it. The wind mask generated chakra and fired off Futon Atsugai, disrupting the attack and blowing Darui back off of his feet. The mask took advantage of its freedom from fighting Darui and moved towards Shi and Yugito to take him out and capture her for Kakuzu. She looked up to see the black thread monster moving his way, but he stuck it out near Yugito to keep her out of its clutches and take his chance against it on his own. Lariat. She was saved by a massive, muscular, dark-skinned arm plowing into the mask of the wind element creature. Shattering it on impact and putting it out of the fight, Raikage-sama looked over his shoulder at his subordinate standing by Yugito. The Raikage smirked victoriously upon seeing that she was still with them. Good work? Now where are the fools that thought taking our Yugito was a good idea? She was about to answer when he noticed Jay still under pursuit by the fire mask that had just shot off another jutsu. The jutsu was diverted as it changed trajectory completely and found itself sucked into a scroll, fire sealing method. Jiraiya rolled the scroll he used to seal the jutsu back up. It looks like we were able to make it after all, Raikage-sama. The mask charged up another attack, but Jiraiya only smirked and pointed behind the mask before disappearing in a puff of smoke. The mask ended up getting eradicated by a Rasengan that carved through the back of its head, all the way through the front, defeating the mask and the heart that went with it. She watched in awe before his focus returned. Raikage-sama, the man that tried taking Yugito, is over there. He pointed over to where Naruto was still engaged in combat with Kakuzu. Wrapped his body in a layer of lightning chakra and prepared to make his way into the battle when Jiraiya called over to him. Raikage-sama let Naruto finish the fight himself. He did this much by himself. I want to see him finish it off. I looked at Jiraiya. We could just head in and end it ourselves. There's no need for the boy to be at risk any longer. He's proven himself by staying alive this long. Getting a nod from the white-haired man was his response. He needs this, if only to prove to himself that he's capable of defeating these people. Naruto had sweat beating down his face, mixing with the grime and blood as Kakuzu kept him on his toes with his defensive offense. It was as if he knew that keeping this style of fighting up was wearing on Naruto and all he had to do was outlast him and the battle was his. Damn it, this is like the forest of death all over again. Naruto thought frantically to himself. Wait, he realized. This is like the forest of death all over again. And I'm just as tired now as I was then. I've been running away and fighting for at least 12 hours straight, and that was before I even started using this thing. A tentative smirk came to Naruto's face. Kakuzu raised an eyebrow at this 180 in Naruto's attitude. What are you smiling about, brat? You still can't touch me. The last time I tested this move out, I exterminated half of a nest of spiders. He mumbled lowly to himself out of Kakuzu's earshot. What was that? Kakuzu teased. Saying a short prayer for yourself? That can wait, you aren't dead. Yet. Nope. Naruto said more to himself than to anyone while still on the move. But you are. Naruto slammed the blades on his gauntlets together loudly 3 times, setting a low droning noise that stuck around over the battlefield. Kakuzu simply took it as irrelevant noise, as he felt nothing from it. Naruto then slammed his blades on his greaves together 3 times while in mid-stride, turning the noise higher pitched. Naruto stopped running as the threads all closed in on him, getting Kakuzu to cackle as he believed that Naruto had finally run out of energy. Naruto clashed the blades of his weapons together one more time and focused the point of the sound into one of the blades on his leg, making the noise conspicuous to Kakuzu, who prepared himself for whatever was about to happen, getting his threads away from Naruto. Naruto lifted his one foot and stomped it, burying it into the ground from the force of the stomp. The vibrations from his leg blade carried through the ground, prompting Kakuzu to leap off of the ground as he assumed this was all an earth element ninjutsu. Scales of total exhaustion. A high-pitched whining noise that droned into Kakuzu's ears seemingly sapped him of all of his energy. Meanwhile, with those watching the fight from a distance, a few of the ninja that had been in battle against the masks felt their energy suddenly leave them as a faint white noise hit their senses, forcing them to visibly look winded, all except for Jiraiya and A. Commented on it. I can feel my chakra leaving my body. Is it this sound? Jiraiya looked on at the scene between Naruto and Kakuzu. I would guess as much. I can only imagine the effect it's having right at the heart of the noise. Kakuzu began to leak blood from his mouth, eyes, and ears. What the hell are you doing? He willed his threads bestowed upon him by the Jiangu to move forward, but they only flickered forward for a moment before dropping to the ground limply. Naruto's ears started to bleed himself. This jutsu takes the fatigue that I've accumulated in comparison to my full capabilities and saturates the air with this sound. But anything that is caught in the noise gets their chakra drained to the extent of the amount that I've used in relation to my full reserves. That fact widened Kakuzu's eyes. With only one heart left, he had no ludicrous reserves the way that Naruto did, and he had been fighting just as long as Naruto had been all day long. You brat, Kakuzu said weakly as he slumped to the ground in a heap. How could I be beaten by a punk kid that's barely out of diapers? He said quietly as the noise persisted. Naruto walked over to him sluggishly, now bleeding from his eyes to go with his ears. Because this punk kid's been training to kill guys like you since he was able to read. Naruto drove the blade on his foot into Kakuzu's chest, leaving it sticking straight out of the side of his chest. His heart was on. Kakuzu let out a death rattle and he went still once and for all. A groan of discomfort came from Naruto as he allowed his weapon to return to its original ninjato form before he began walking over to where the others were. Jiraiya had a wide grin on his face as he saw his apprentice walking back over to them after finishing off Kakuzu. What did I say, Raikage-sama? I told you he could handle it by himself. You just need to have faith in the kid. I chuckled at Jiraiya's pride in Naruto's performance. As long as that boy is in your village, I can see him keeping it safe as its protector. What he was meant to be as its Jinchuriki. Yep. Jiraiya beamed. He's the spitting image of... Oh, hold on. Jiraiya frowned when he saw Naruto unceremoniously drop face first onto the ground in exhaustion in the distance. A sweat dropped as he gestured for his ninja to go out and assist him. Is he going to be all right? Jiraiya shrugged. Meh, he's fine. He cupped his hands to his mouth. Come on, kid, walk it off. You're blowing my wise teacher moment here, and here I was starting to think you were tough. Naruto, face down on the ground, heard Jiraiya's remark and started muttering curses to himself as he found himself unable to move his body or raise his voice. All right. Kyuubi's voice boomed in Naruto's mind. He's back on the list. Naruto could only give a mental nod to his tenant in agreement. After the little conflict with Kakuzu and Hidan had been settled, Jiraiya had made sure that Naruto had gotten treatment back in Kumogakure for his more nagging injuries and wounds suffered from the prolonged battle. For the physical price he paid, keeping Yugito out of Akatsuki's clutches, a stay in the hospital was the least that could be allowed for him. Speaking of Yugito, surprisingly after the battle was complete, the worst damage she suffered was the injury through her hands that had been inflicted at the start. She didn't suffer any permanent nerve damage, but it was advised that she refrain from training until further notice to keep from re-injuring herself. During Naruto's hospital stay, Jiraiya took to trying to examine Naruto's sword, and failed miserably as it did not let Jiraiya lay a finger on it without cutting into his hands with wind chakra, which piqued his interest as that was Naruto's main element type. However, from what he had seen of the sword, Naruto, who had finished his wind element training, never channeled chakra through the blade, and then it had that second form that simply augmented his abilities. But from what he had gleaned from Naruto, it drained him heavily. Naruto was strong. This was always evident to Jiraiya. Back when he took Naruto with him to retrieve Tsunade, it was clear that anyone short of the absolute best in the world would have a horrible day if they had decided to tangle with Naruto. But now Jiraiya wasn't sure if he could put Naruto down without having to resort to his absolute best. Although any stirring from the Kyuubi, and he could always slap a suppression seal on Naruto, but getting it on him was an entirely different matter altogether. He and Tsunade needed to have a conversation on his growth once he got the kid healed up and dragged him back to Konoha. In the meantime, he was getting his kicks off of watching the nursing staff in Kumo's hospital keep Naruto in place. Apparently, with a Jinchuriki like Kirabi, they got used to him trying to break out before he was released early on in his life, and had way more experience dealing with a rowdy, powerful demon container. No leniency was given, even stepping out of bed set off an alert for trained orderlies to put him right back, forcefully. And if that wasn't enough, the head doctor was a woman with a glare that could freeze lava on point. Yes. After the first day, Naruto was a good boy. The company didn't hurt either, however. Kumogakure no Sato, Kumo Hospital. Naruto sat, seething to himself in his bed. I never thought I would find something I hate more than Konoha's hospital, but now I think Kumo's is pushing it firmly out of the way for sure. Yugito rolled her eyes from a nearby chair. Oh, get over it, Naruto-kun. They'll let you out when they think you're good and ready. I am good and ready. I was ready the day after I was admitted, and now it's been 3 days. They're just now letting me bathe myself. He nearly whined to her. Hospitals are for the dead and dying. I am neither, so they should let me go. He ran a hand through his hair. I can't believe mugging that orderly and transforming into him didn't get me out. I thought that would work for sure. Yugito didn't miss a beat. Kirabi tried that 6 years ago. Naruto sighed. Of course he did. He then lightly glared at her, noticing that she was dressed in her own clothing. How come they let you go? Yugito grinned cheekily at him. All I had besides the busted ribs were a few burns and my messed up hands. Yugito lifted her heavily bandaged palms and waved them at Naruto showingly. You had all kinds of torn muscles in your legs and arms. How did you even tear the muscles anyway? Naruto glowered. The bastard sword I carry with me. He let off a scowl as his heirloom blade. That thing is more trouble than it's worth sometimes. How am I supposed to train with it when it rips my body apart just using it? Oh, just toughen up, you big baby. Yugito said, popping him lightly on the arm. We just beat the Akatsuki and here you are complaining about your sword. Prioritize, Naruto-kun. Just relax. Getting all stressed out will do you no good. Yeah, no good, Naruto replied. No good like your bum hands, he said, grabbing her wrists and waving her arms around as if she were a marionette before she realized what he was doing and narrowed her eyes at him. What do you think you're doing, Scarface? She growled out at him. Getting beat up by orderlies and your sensei isn't enough. You want me to stomp you too? Yo, Mr. Nine, I got here fast after hearing about those guys that kicked your ass. The door to Naruto's hospital room was then kicked almost off of the hinges, and the towering form of the very familiar Hachibi Jinchuriki filled it through. Grinning widely, "It's Kurabi-sama singing you a tune, hoping to see you get well soon." He failed to notice that Naruto was sitting up unusually ramrod straight with most of his bed linens askew over one particular spot around his legs, as if to cover something, as well as Yugito sitting statue still in her chair, hair slightly awry and her face with a healthy blush running across it, as well as both of them panting slightly. Naruto snapped out of his trance first. What the fuck? You knock before you enter a room with a closed door." Kurabi scoffed at Naruto. "I don't knock, motherfucker." Clearly, Yugito said with her eye twitching at her older Jinchuriki friend, wishing he would spontaneously burst into flames right that minute. "Kurabi-sensei, you need to slow down and be quiet. We're in a hospital." Karui came inside of the room, followed by Omoi and Samui, who rolled her blue eyes at her teammate at the hypocrisy of that statement. Karui blinked at seeing Naruto up and about. "So you're finally able to take visitors, Naruto?" Naruto gave her a dry look. "I could have taken visitors yesterday, but I tried breaking out the moment I woke up, and after 3 attempts they isolated me until today." Kurabi nodded in understanding, while the others simply looked at him like he was insane. Omoi, with the ever-present sucker in his mouth, spoke up. "You're talking about this place like it's prison or something." Naruto's dry look switched over to him. "It is when there isn't anything wrong with you." He looked between them all. "I will give each of you 10,000 ryo if you get me out of here now." Omoi and Karui went wide-eyed, while Samui simply gave him a questioning look. "Where did you get that kind of money to spend on something like this?" Naruto smirked inside of his head. He was still counting his money from the bounty on Sasori. He had gone on back-to-back high-level missions. Didn't have any expenses other than food, and Hamako handled those matters herself with the money she made assisting at the academy when he wasn't there. Yeah, he was so moving out of that apartment when he got back. Hell, with the money he was going to make off of Haidan's head, he was going to be more loaded than ever before. Damn, he didn't get Kakuzu's corpse. Oh well, there's such a thing as too much money after all. At that moment, Jiraiya walked into the room. "That's not going to be necessary, brat. You're good to go." He threw a bundle to Naruto when Koch showed that they were Naruto's clothes and other possessions that he sealed into scrolls for travel. "Yep. It's time we get out of here and go back to Konoha." "Finally, it took long enough," Naruto said as he began to peruse through his things. He looked up in time to catch himself from taking his hospital gown off to prepare to change. Could I get Minute here?" Yugito plopped down on the bed next to him. "Ah, you don't want me to stay, Naruto-kun?" Naruto pushed her lightly. "If you stay, then changing is going to be the last thing that I end up doing in here." He panned his eyes over to Jiraiya, who was writing down something in a small notepad. "Ero-sen, what the hell?" Jiraiya looked up at Naruto and put his pad away. "Oh, get over it, kid. I've been using your life to brainstorm ideas for my books since right after we went after Tsunade-Iwa." He chuckled lecherously. "Lately, you've been giving me quite a bit to write about, I have to say. I didn't see you becoming a ladies' man." Naruto sighed. "I'm not a ladies' man." "Liar," Yugito stated plainly with her arms crossed. Karui nodded, blushing slightly. "I remember the last time you were here, you know. You're full of crap on that one." Samui rubbed her shoulders. "Is there any chance you can give me another massage like you did last time you were here before you go?" Naruto said unsurely. "Ask him." He pointed over to Jiraiya, who was once again rapidly writing and mouthing out, "Massage? Oh. Don't make me burn that thing, Ero-senin." "Oh, shut up and get dressed already," Jiraiya said, wiping away the small amount of blood coming from his nose from what he himself had written. "We have to get back to Tsunade Heim and give her the results of the successful mission." Naruto blinked owlishly. "Success?" "But the Raikage turned down the idea of us joining forces." Jiraiya grinned at the boy. "Well, after your little rescue stunt. And after he saw how 2 of the Akatsuki could get right into his village and engage Yukito here without a trace going out until the fight was more or less over, he saw that there was a need for some kind of measure to be put in place. So congrats, kid, your little hero act brought about another alliance. You seem to be making a habit out of that. You act like you're mad about it." Naruto said, Now can you all get the fuck out so I can change? He then stopped to think about it. Girls can stay. Naruto hopped out of bed once he felt everyone start to move towards the door, and almost started taking his hospital gown off until he felt the presence of others still in the room. Turning to the door, he saw Yugito, Samui, and Karui still standing there. One smirking, one blushing, and one with no noticeable reflection on her face but a sparkle in her eyes told him all he needed to know. Naruto let off a sweat drop. You know, I was kind of joking about that. Kanohagakure no Sato, Hokage Tower. Tsunade stared at Naruto and Jiraiya with her cheek in her hand, leaning on her desk lazily as she looked at the two of them. Well, you certainly took the roundabout way towards doing so, but good work, you two. That's one village we can mark down for having our side against Akatsuki alongside Suna. Jiraiya nodded, pleased with Naruto's rendition of how the battle went. 3 of the 5 villages isn't a bad number at all. He patted Naruto on the head. Now, don't you have something to discuss with the kid? Oh, yes. Tsunade perked up and reached inside of her desk, rummaging around for a moment before dropping a small stack of papers in front of Naruto and handing him a pen. I just need you to sign some things for your identification. Naruto shrugged and grabbed the pen, signing his signature on all of the corresponding areas Tsunade designated for him. After handing the pen back over upon completion, he finally asked, So what was that for anyway? I've never had to sign anything before. Tsunade didn't answer and simply took out a stamp before slamming it on the paper and looking up at Naruto with a grin. Oh, that was just the registration forms for your promotion to Jonin. Congratulations, brat. He simply stared at Tsunade for over a minute, fully processing what he had just heard. You're not messing with me, right? You're finally promoting me? Why now? Tsunade sighed. Politics, brat. I would have done it sooner, but you need ample backing from many high-ranking sources in the village these days for any decision like this to go through. You can at least take it as a sign that things are definitely changing around here for you. She finished with a smile. Yeah, either that or I have friends in blackmailing places. Naruto thought as he couldn't fight the smile peeking through on his own face. Jiraiya ruffled Naruto's hair. Way to go, I knew they couldn't keep you off of that rank forever. It's just a matter of time. He looked up to Tsunade. So are we supposed to head straight out to the next village? Tsunade shook her head. No. Naruto is on a probationary period as a Jonin. He needs to get 3 more missions under his belt as the leader before it's truly decided whether up or not he'll remain in a Jonin, or get demoted to Special Jonin or back to Chunin. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I'm on probation? We have probation? We have probation? Ranks higher than Chunin have probation. Jiraiya explained. We have a pretty large population of ninja, so this is to make sure we have the best of the best leading the pack, so to speak. Smaller villages don't have probation since they need their elite ninja for a showing. But Konoha ninja are already perceived as the outright best, so we simply make sure of that. You'll be fine. Tsunade assured him as she put the papers away. You don't seem like a choke artist to me, so just work the way you always do and things should go smoothly. You've earned this rank. Naruto reached into his pocket. Speaking of stuff I've earned. He pulled out a labeled scroll. How much do I earn for this? He unsealed the scroll and covered the desk in smoke. You blonde cock-chasing son of a bitch, I knew you'd let me out. On Tsunade's desk sat the disembodied head of Hidan, snarling and knife foaming at the mouth at Naruto. Get down here and fight me like a man instead of like a bitch. Tsunade looked at the head on her desk, cursing Naruto out colorfully. You didn't kill him? Naruto looked up at his village leader slowly. I can't kill him, but this should be better, right? I mean, he's still alive. That's gotta count for something. Naruto started raising his voice higher and higher as Hidan yelled over him. We could. Naruto glared at the head and stuffed the scroll he had been sealed in inside of his mouth. Shut the fuck up. Winners are talking here. Tsunade rubbed her temple and pulled out some sake. I thought I'd seen everything physically possible in this world, and then you literally dropped something like this in my lap. You lead a charmed life, brat, she said before pouring herself a small cup. Naruto then took the bottle from her and took a swing straight from it. It's not my fault, Tsunade-bachan. Stuff happens. He tried passing the bottle to Jiraiya before Tsunade snatched it back out of his hands. Shizune! Tsunade called loudly. Naruto pointed at the muffled Hidan's head. Can I keep that? Jiraiya gave Naruto a deadpan look. Why in gods would you ever want to keep that for? Naruto shrugged. Hamako-chan could use some company when I'm not home, and he'd make a great pet. I'll even defang him so he can't bite or anything. Hell, I'm certain that I can interrogate him for some good stuff on Akatsuki. That's actually a decent idea. Tsunade admitted, the interrogation part, not the house pet part. What is wrong with you? Naruto looked away awkwardly when at the same time Shizune walked into the room. Shizune, can you take this to Anbu HQ until I can get a hold of Ibiki Morino, or Inouchi Yamanaka? Shizune walked closer to the desk, and froze when she saw a severed head mumbling curses with a scroll shoved into its mouth. Shooting Death looks at everyone around. Her eyes fluttered before she fell backwards into unconsciousness. Naruto and Jiraiya looked down at the fallen black-haired woman. Did Shizune Nikan just faint? Naruto kneeled down next to her, snapping his fingers in front of her face and shaking her lightly in an attempt to revive her. Tsunade looked over her desk at her oldest companion, Naruto, and Jiraiya. Yeah, you're a dismissed brat. I'll wake her up another bowl, Oji-san. Naruto called out, placing an empty bowl of ramen to the side of the counter in an effort to wait for his next bowl. I have no shortage of funds to pay today. Naruto's exuberance over his meal caused Teiuchi to chuckle at his most prolific customer. A pair of hands were placed over his eyes before a very welcome voice let him know exactly who it was. I knew that I would find you here, Naruto-sama. Why didn't you come home first? The voice finished almost poutingly. Naruto smiled and removed the hands from his eyes, allowing his aide to take a seat next to him inside of the ramen stand. Hi, Hamako-chan. Anything interesting happen while I was gone? He stopped smiling and looked at her rather gravely. You didn't burn the apartment complex down testing stuff out, did you? Hamako rolled her eyes and leaned on the counter, ever-present smile still on her face. No, I'm not even working with anything volatile now. All I did was outfit your gift with some seals, and that was pretty much all I did. It's only been a week since you left, you know. Speaking of seals. Naruto changed topics. I can use the hardest stuff that you taught me on actual people now, so let me in on some new stuff next time we train. He picked up his sword. Also, I need you to seriously help me break down all of the seals placed on this thing and help me work out how this thing works. Going blind with this thing isn't such a good idea anymore. Naruto stopped talking as a bowl of ramen was placed in front of him. Of course, master. Hamako agreed before smirking. By the way, you're in trouble. Naruto stopped eating and looked at her with noodles hanging from his mouth. Huh? A small laugh came from the white-haired girl before she explained. Where do I start? Well, you keep failing to tell people when you leave, and that usually leaves me to inform them of your absence. People don't like that, especially the people that were looking for you. Like who? Naruto asked as he continued to eat. I was only gone for a week. Who could have possibly had anything to say to me? Tayuya-san, first of all. Naruto stopped eating to listen. I'm certain you were expecting that, though. Then there was Anko-san as well about the cursed seal. But I handled that appointment in your stead, right up until Taiya-san came over for what assistance she could offer. And the story of your, exploits got out. Naruto stopped slurping up his next bowl of ramen at a breakneck pace and looked at Hamako, still holding his chopsticks to his mouth. And? Hamako looked away sheepishly. Everyone that knows of you now knows about it. I am sorry, Naruto-sama. Naruto looked over at Teiuchi, who had also been looking at him before the ramen chef turned away, whistling innocently. He then thought about that statement. Everyone that knows of him, that was actually a ton of people in reality. So when you say everyone, you mean Naruto Nishan. Naruto turned around on his stool to find Konohamaru along with Uden and Moeji. The leader of the trio was looking at Naruto defiantly. Hey, Konohamaru. You guys are genin, huh? Good for you all. Hamako at his side waved pleasantly at the trio, who waved right back to her. Konohamaru made a fist and thrusted it out at Naruto. I'll show you how much stronger I am now, Naruto Neshid Sexy Jutsu. Konohamaru promptly transformed into a beautiful, nude, brown-haired woman, only to sweat drop after realizing nothing was happening. Naruto simply raised an eyebrow at the display. Huh? Man, I haven't used that move in forever. Naruto vacantly realized that a pair of chopsticks were being held in front of him with food on them. Oh, thank you, Hamako-chan. Naruto gleefully partook in his meal, forcing Konohamaru to face fault out of his transformation. Moeji and Udon helped Konohamaru stand back up. Man. Well, I guess for someone that invented the technique and can see the real thing whenever he wants, it won't have much effect. Naruto immediately stopped letting Hamako feed him before looking at Konohamaru emotionlessly, bringing a shiver to the newly minted Geinin's spine. Naruto turned and placed his money for the meal on the counter, before cracking his neck and turning back to the trio. So you know how I could never legit train with you guys because you weren't ninja yet? Yeah, that little restriction is off. The kids turned to run, but before they could take their first step, Hamako flashed some seals into Naruto's hands that he slapped onto the bodies of the three young Geinin before making a set of half a dozen hand seals. Sealing technique. Seal of paralysis. Naruto nodded in appreciation at the effect of the seals as he saw the kids freeze in mid-stride. Good work, Hamako-chan. How long do I have until it wears off? The seal isn't attuned to you personally, so I would give it 2 minutes since I don't think they know how to stop their chakra flow that well yet. Hamako informed him. Damn. Naruto started to gather them all up at once. That isn't enough time to get all the way across town to the Forest of Death so I can cut loose. Oh well. I guess I'll have to make this informal at a nearby training ground. Later, Hamako-chan. I'll be home in a bit. I've got stuff to talk about with you later anyway. Naruto jumped off with Konohamaru, Moeji, and Udon, all being carried by him unable to escape. Don't beat them up badly, master. You'll get in trouble again. Hamako called out to him before she began to make her way home. Naruto didn't really beat them up, sparing them from the horrible flashback to their time in the academy. He really actually did train with them, not on things that they could do with their Jonin sensei, who he found out was Ibesu, such as tree climbing or teamwork drills. He made Shadow Clone and actually worked with them for a bit on things that he figured played to their strengths. With Konohamaru being the heavy hitter, he gave him a few pointers on strength exercises, and told him that the sooner he showed marked improvement in the things that Ibesu had been training him, and the sooner both he and Ibesu would more than likely teach him more ninjutsu to work with. For Udon, Naruto taught him what he knew of wicked traps that the boy already had base knowledge on after hanging out with Konohamaru for so long, and tried to steer him towards starting specialization in Fuinjutsu, citing that other than Jiraiya himself, Hamako, who wasn't a ninja, and maybe Kakashi, there really wasn't anyone in Konoha that could claim any kind of advanced skill in sealing techniques. The things that Naruto attempted to give him a crash course were more of starter concepts for someone as smart as Udon was. For Moeji, as far as concrete teaching, there wasn't much he could show her. She wasn't going to have the chakra reserves to handle Naruto's form of combat, so all of the ninjutsu he knew were out of the question. He didn't know any genjutsu. He didn't know any medical jutsu. So he figured that if nothing else, he could show her some blade work as an effort to teach her something. She surprisingly took to it rather well, and worked hard to learn the basic things that Naruto was trying to teach her. He also promised her, after giving her a wooden training sword, that if she could show him that she had learned enough on her own, he would buy her an actual sword, and teach her more than just basics. He didn't just head right out and buy her one, after finding out she was interested, because he was certain that she wouldn't need one for quite a while, being a genin for a little over 2 weeks, and that he wanted to give her some incentive to actually train instead of coast on her laurels. After a few hours of working with the genin, and hearing Konohamaru lament about how he wished Naruto could have been promoted sooner, so he could have taken them as a team, he sent them on their way, telling them that any time they wanted to reach him, they could look for him or Hamako. Well, just look at you, Naruto. Naruto saw Kakashi emerging into the clearing of the training field, eye smiling at him as the sun was going down. Maybe you should lobby on taking a genin squad of your own if that's how you'd work with them. Naruto chuckled to himself. No way, Kakashi-sensei. I just like those kids, they're going to be good. I don't think I could take a team just like that. And from that, I'm assuming you've heard that I got promoted. As a misthought, he rubbed the back of his head. I hope Ebisu isn't sore about me stealing his team for a few hours. Kakashi nodded. Who do you think put in an endorsement for you to move up? I may not look it at times, but I am very influential. Ah, Naruto said, as they began to walk back towards the town. You're right. Walking around with your face buried in Iro-senen's pervert book all the time doesn't make you look very influential, no offense. Kakashi wagged his finger chidingly. Says you, from what Anko said to everyone about you and the Tayuya girl. Damn it, Anko-chan. Naruto shouted to no one in particular. She just spread that around to spite me after she got sent back on that mission we were on. I'm going to get her back later. She better know that. You're in trouble. Kakashi chirped with a sing-song voice. After that little bit of news broke, there were some people very interested in speaking with you. A twinge of remembrance ran through Naruto's head. Hamako-chan said that too. She didn't really get a chance to elaborate on it though. What the fuck does that even mean, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi simply gave him his trademark look. It's not my place to say. You'll find out soon enough, I'm certain. Naruto could swear that the man was radiating an aura of I know something. You don't. Once you get off of probation, I should set up a party for Konoha's newest jonin. You never know, Kakashi. Naruto said offhandedly, I might get myself demoted. I mean, what if I'm not good enough? Both of them stopped walking and turned towards each other, both of them with complete and utter straight-faced looks. Right up until both of them simultaneously burst into laughter? Yeah, right. Can you imagine me saying that out loud to anyone? Yeah, everything's going to be fine. Working with people way older than me that I have to lead might be awkward, though. Kakashi motioned for them to keep going. Meh, you get used to it. I was a jonin at 13, remember. Imagine how I felt. You're just lucky that there isn't a war going on right now. Naruto immediately countered. If there was a war going on right now, I would have been promoted faster. And the team leading thing wouldn't be an issue since I would lobby for more solo sneaking missions than anything else. He looked over at the masked jonin. I get where you're coming from though. But that's just another reason that I wouldn't take a Geinin team even if I could get one right now. Akatsuki is still after me. What would my Geinin do if we were attacked while we were out? Well then, that's just extra incentive for you to finish them all off so you can experience the joys of teaching like me. Kakashi said cheerfully. What teaching? Naruto asked. All you taught Team 7 as a team was how to climb trees. I'm sorry, Naruto, did you say something? Kakashi asked as his nose was right back in his favorite book. Naruto's eye twitched as he fought the urge to tackle Kakashi and beat the crap out of him. Wondering if he could get away with it, nothing important, Kakashi-sensei, nothing important at all. Sitting at the kitchen table behind Naruto, Hamako was using the only thing she knew that could possibly be construed as a ninjutsu, finger engraving seal that she was using to engrave a seal on Naruto's upper shoulder. Hamako wasn't too thrilled with doing this, as it required her to actually burn the seal into Naruto's flesh before she could actually apply ink to make a tattoo out of it, but Naruto wasn't complaining, or flinching, or even showing that this was mildly hurting him, allowing her to proceed with a steady hand. The entire time she was simply telling Naruto about the things of mild interest that transpired when he was gone. It wasn't until Naruto started going over what he had been doing in Kumo with Yugito that she felt a twinge of something in her. Luckily for Naruto, she had finished the part that required her to burn the seal onto his shoulder, or else she might have slipped her control and messed up the pattern. From that point on, Hamako refrained from responding verbally to anything he said that tried to engage her in the conversation. She simply stayed silent right until she finished placing the ink seal over Naruto's burn. After allowing the ink to dry, he looked himself over in the mirror. That's good work, Hamako-chan. What was this thing again? You were pretty insistent on putting it on me. Hamako responded almost robotically. It is a simple seal of communication between you and I, Naruto-sama. She lowered the shoulder of her kimono to show that she had already placed the exact same tattoo on her shoulder. It will allow you and I to communicate by channeling chakra in short bursts, resulting in sharp pulses to the other person's corresponding tattoo. She then tested it out on Naruto. He felt the same feeling she told him he would feel on his shoulder. So it's like Morse code. Okay then, That's great. He then noticed that the small, serene smile she usually had on her face was gone. What's the matter, Hamako-chan? Hamako tried to speak 3 times, but closed her mouth with nothing to say each time. She finally steeled herself in front of Naruto. I allowed your relations with Tayuya-san because she knew you longer than I did, and having someone like her care for you would have been a good thing. What of this girl in Kumo? Naruto leaned against a wall. Yugito. Yugito-chan is interested in me. We didn't have sex, Hamako-chan, but you were going to. She countered. That's where your story was going until Kirabi-san interrupted you, if you were to be believed. Naruto frowned. Maybe that's where it was going to go. What does it matter in the end? Hamako looked down. Why do you think I've stayed for so long, Master? Why do you think I enjoy doing so much for you and helping you? I even sleep in your bed with you all the time. Do you really dislike me that much? Naruto blinked at her mood. I figured you were just one big sweetheart that I couldn't convince otherwise. And no, I love you, Hamako-chan. I don't know what I did to deserve you doing so many things for me. Hamako shook her head. You don't love me. Not the way that I wish you would, at least. She stood up and started walking closer to him. You are the most important person in the entire world to me, Naruto-sama. You are the only man that I would readily give my life for if need be. I know you tell me not to live for my own dreams. Well, I found something to live my life for. Naruto looked at her expectantly, and that would be... Hamako closed the distance between them and placed herself firmly against Naruto's body. All I want is you, Naruto-sama. I just want to see you be happy. Not only that, but I want to be the one that makes you happy. Without you, I don't know what would have become of me if I had ever gotten out of cryogenic freezing without you. But you need me, and that makes me feel wonderful. Naruto sighed and held her against him. I can't marry you, Hamako. I've said it repeatedly to more than just you. Real relationships won't work for me, I don't want you to marry me, and from the way you reacted when we first met, nothing about our relationship is normal. She cut him off. I just want to know that you care for me, because I really do love you, honestly. Naruto tilted her chin up to face him. I already told you that I love you, didn't I? Hamako made a pouting face at him. I don't mean like that, master. Ha! Jiraiya sat across from Tsunade's desk, both of them drinking from her bottle of sake as the day wound down to a close. Jiraiya finished his drink and looked over at his old teammate. I'm planning on heading off to follow up on a lead sometime soon. It shouldn't take too long, just in and out. When? Tsunade asked, filling her cup back up. We still need you to finish the mission with Naruto. You still need to head to Kiri. Jiraiya watched her drink down her own sake. We should give them a little more time to bolster their rankings before we try with them. Possibly after the next Chunin exams if I were to give it a time frame. He laughed once she gave him a look of disbelief. Hey, I know enough about politics. I'm doing this alliance thing for a reason, right? Tsunade let a smile grow on her face. All right. So when do you plan on leaving on this mission of yours? Jiraiya shrugged. Let me rest up a bit from this one and get word from my network operative and I'll be good. It should be about a month or so. And just so you know, I'm going to take Naruto with me, so have his schedule cleared by the time I'm ready to go. Tsunade paid special attention when she heard that. Anything about Naruto was a point of serious interest to her. He was her only living family and she truly did care about him. Why do you want to take Naruto with you? Jiraiya scratched his face, a few reasons. But anyway, can you do that for me? He should be done with his probation period in a month or two, shouldn't he? He turned on the begging. Please, Tsunade-heim. Tsunade simply rested her face in her hands. You're 30 years too old to be doing that, you pervert. You're giving me more of a mutt face than a puppy dog face. She lowered her hands once he went back to normal, all right. When he's all set with his new responsibilities, you can take him with you again. God, I'm going to regret sending you two out again, aren't I? Both of you are bad luck, and sending you both out at the same time is just begging for trouble. Yeah, you would know about bad luck, wouldn't you? Jiraiya quipped. getting a tick mark to form on Tsunade's head. "Oh, you know I love you, Tsunade Haim. Now come on and show me how much you love me." Within a second after uttering that, Tsunade had sent Jiraiya flying backwards, obliterating the office doors and who knows what else with the force of her punch. "I love you that much, pervert." Tsunade smirked while cracking her knuckles. "I knew you did," Jiraiya called out weakly from his place among the rubble. Naruto sat in the shady branches of a tree situated near the main gates of Konoha, as he waited for the team he was intended to lead on his first mission as a Jonin. He had finally decided to wear his flak jacket, and underneath that a black long-sleeved muscle shirt. The change in clothes due to the climate he was going to be facing for this mission. He had never led anyone before, that was for certain. He was more accustomed to taking orders and dealing with whatever he was instructed to handle, and he was, for the most part, okay with that. However, overlying mission parameters didn't direct him to be a follower. They directed him to be a leader, because what Hokage couldn't lead a few missions? Hamako, who was relishing her new position as the primary woman in Naruto's life more or less by default, but it didn't matter to her, was quick to give Naruto a goodbye kiss when he left for the mission that morning. After that point, Tayuya caught him outside of his apartment and laid her own claim on him, heading back inside of her apartment after stealing a blistering kiss of her own with a toothy grin. Strange, Naruto assumed she'd be more pissed about their little escapade. "Oh well, it was time to get to work as usual. You're punctual, aren't you, Saikuhai?" Naruto said to seemingly no one before Sai appeared in an ink genjutsu with his strange smile on his face. "You're the first to arrive. Looking forward to working with you." "This certainly makes things easier now, doesn't it?" Sai asked the scar-faced blonde. Naruto nodded. "Yep. Now I can just act like we met on this mission and hit it off and became friends. It takes away one pain in the ass of finding you to talk to for sure." "You should get used to it, Naruto-senpai. As of now, I am a permanent fixture on your squad for the foreseeable future," Sai said, pulling out a notebook that he began drawing in as they waited for the rest of the team. Naruto watched Sai from above and began to chuckle. "What's funny?" Naruto stopped laughing and looked at his comrade. "You might be all about pushing your emotions away and all of that, but you still have a coping mechanism for all of the crazy stuff we do, just like every other good ninja does." Sai looked up at Naruto blankly. "I don't understand, senpai." Naruto shook his head. "Your notebook. What are you doing with it right now?" Sai looked at the notebook in his hand and back to Naruto. "I don't understand." Naruto jumped down from the tree and took the notebook from Sai's hands, flipping through it with an analyzing eye. "You draw more than just stuff to fight with?" Sai nodded and Naruto handed him back the notebook. "That's your thing. Drawing is probably the thing you always do when you're not on missions keeping you from cracking like an egg, the only blatant link to your emotions you have. And to prove my point, give me that for the duration of the mission." Sai looked at his notebook for a moment before handing it over to Naruto, who gave it right back. "I thought you were going to take it away. Why give it back?" Naruto grinned at Sai and patted him on the shoulder. "Nah, I didn't want it. I knew no matter what it meant to you, you were going to hand it over since I was the one that told you to do it. All I needed to see was the little flash of hesitation you gave me before handing it over. That would be a normal thing to other people, but to guys like you that Danzo Gigi trained, that's exceptional. I'm starting to get through to you, Kuhai." Sai's face showed no inflection of actually caring. "I fail to see how you being able to see through my emotions is a good thing. It means my training is a failure, and I need to be conditioned again." Naruto let out a phantom shiver at the thought of being reconditioned. "No, you don't. You're my liaison to Danzo Gigi, and apparently his successor, so that means that you need to be somewhat functional in social situations, or else you'd be really suspicious. How else are we supposed to work together to help each other do our missions if I can't even get you to hold your own in a public forum? Although I'm barely the guy I'd be counting on for that." Sai put up his drawing notebook and pulled out a smaller one. "Then I will simply have to take notes on regular interactions from you. You are my senpai, and you have far more experience than I do with the matter." Naruto stared at the pale teen blankly. "Sure, why not? Let's try that." Sai's eyes flecked to the gate. "We will have to continue this conversation another time. I believe it is time to get to work." Naruto rolled his neck loose and started towards the gate to reach his other teammates. All right, let's do this. You might want to have on some better clothes for where we're going, but hey, you're a grown ninja. He patted Sai on the shoulder as they both walked over. Everything's going to be A-OK on this one. It's an easy detail. Hello, 1010. A cheerful Sakura said as she walked over to the gate only to see the bun-haired girl with a sweat drop on her head. What's the matter? 1010 rubbed her temple. Other than the fact that you and I are the only ones here on the squad, we also have. She pointed at a middle-aged man with glasses freaking out about something around a crew of others. This guy that's all worked up in a frenzy and he's not telling me what's wrong. Sakura's reply was cut off when Naruto and Sai walked onto the scene. Hello, Sakura. Tenten-chan. Meet Sai. He'll be working with us on this one. Sai nodded in confirmation of Naruto's statement. You guys ready to do this thing? Sakura pleasantly greeted Naruto with a wave. Hi, Naruto. Congratulations on your promotion. She looked him over. So you're the Jonin on this mission? You're pretty young for it, aren't you? Naruto shrugged. Everyone's got to grow up sometimes, right? Hell, Neji's a Jonin and he's 1 year older than us, right, Ten-chan? Naruto looked over at the weapons specialist who haughtily turned away from him, getting Naruto to sweat drop. So she's one of the people that wanted to talk to me, is she? Sai nudged Naruto out of his stupor, getting him to clear his head on the matter. Okay, so let's get this show on the road and roll out already. We've got to get moving to get to the coast, right? Where's the Sandao guy that hired us? We can't leave yet. The man that had been so upset the entire time came scrambling over to Naruto and clutched at his vest. The entire reason we needed the escort, Yuki Fujikaze, isn't here. She's missing, Sakura gasped. That's who this is meant to protect? The movie star? I've seen all the Princess Gale films. Naruto hadn't, but he knew who she was. She was so famous. Being busy almost non-stop for years kind of kills your free time. He looked at the man before gently pushing him off. All right then. This mission is starting off just great, isn't it? He sighed before calling his team in. Sai, Asakura. You two search for Yuki, and I'll send a shadow clone with you in case you two or me and Ten-ten find her. Everyone nodded and set off to search. Naruto simply walked, keeping Ten-ten from running off like Sai and Sakura had. What are you doing, Naruto? We have to find her. Naruto noticed her snappish tone and how she had taken the kun off of the end of his name, but didn't say anything. He simply made the hand seal for Shadow Clone and created 3 dozen before setting them out to search the village. He gestured with his head for her to follow him as he walked through the village to wait for any feedback giving him Yuki's location. He could feel Ten-ten's eyes on him, but when he panned his onto hers, she would turn them back down the street. You want to talk while we wait, Ten-ten? He kept the Chan off of her name that he had been calling her ever since their border patrol mission, because she was doing the same. Maybe he could get her to snap and tell him what was wrong. I don't really think we need to talk, Naruto. Ten-ten replied, keeping her eyes straight ahead. I think I know all I need to without even hearing a word from you. Naruto groaned inwardly. This wasn't going to be something she could set aside for the duration of the mission, and the last thing he needed was her attention split if they wound up in a fight. He stepped out in front of her and stopped her from moving any further. All right, I was going to wait until you told me yourself, but this isn't something that I can hold off on. Ten-ten, what's wrong? What did I do? Ten-ten's eyes locked with his, glaring before she had to turn away from him. What happened to Ten-ten-chan? Or did you drop that once you did your neighbor? Naruto froze in place, confused look on his face before he slowly spoke. What me and Taiuya-chan did is between us. Why does it bother you? And I stopped using the Chan because you're acting all pissy and you dropped the kun from my name. Ten-ten took a deep breath. I was starting to like you a lot, Naruto-kun. The month we had doing the border patrol was the best mission I'd ever had. Everything you did was so sweet and you made me think that you were into me. Naruto could see where this was going. I do like you, Ten-ten-chan. He looked around, seeing people in the streets looking at them both. Can we talk about this some other time? He almost flinched at the recoil her face made. I promise we can talk about this later, I swear. But we have to work. One of my clones found Yuki and they're bringing her to the gate as we speak. She liked him too? Man, this couldn't have come up at a worse time. He could only hope the mission wrapped up quickly so that he could work this out. He put a hand on her shoulder and pulled away quickly when she balked under his touch. What could he say? There wasn't any time for him to even try and smooth this out with her. They had to move out now. Come on, 10-10-Chan. We've got to get moving. Everything's going to be okay. This was all his fault. He never thought girls would actually get attached to him if he dropped his guard and acted like a spaz around them as opposed to being iceberg cold like part of him wanted to be, and he was fully capable of pulling off. They hated him when he was sealed, and he was a total airhead then, so how would he know how different they would see him after that? Does Suna Deabak-chan even know she's giving me such clusterfuck missions, or is it just me? Naruto thought to himself as he and Ten headed back to the gate. A few moments earlier, after telling the rest of his team to head back to the gate and wait for him, Naruto kicked in the door to a dimly lit small bar with a perturbed look on his face. He saw Yuki Fujikaze downing shots like a champ at the counter of the bar, only taking note of the people in the room. Yuki and the bartender, a middle-aged man with short black hair, visibly graying in certain places. Yuki's cheeks were tinted pink to show how under the influence she currently was when her eyes turned to the door, and took note of Naruto. This kid again. Why do you keep coming after me? Naruto kept a straight face as he sauntered in, because it's my job, and I'm not really into failing missions. I'm supposed to escort you to the land of snow and be done with it. It's kind of hard to pull that off when you mace me. I wouldn't try that again, by the way. It won't work twice, even if you did actually get me with it this time. She glared at him for a moment before letting it go. Oh, what would a kid like you know about life anyway? Naruto chuckled slightly, sharing a look with the bartender who had a smirk of his own. Oh, lady, you have no idea. Now come on, let's get going so that you don't let down your legions of fans by not finishing your movie. Yuki let out a bitter laugh. Actors are the biggest fakes in the world, kid. This business is dirty, almost as dirty as being a ninja like you, I could guess. He really doubted that most actors had to kill people with metal wire on a day-to-day basis. We're just fakes, following the lives of others written by others, never really being ourselves. She looked Naruto over before a drunken leer met Naruto's eyes. Hey, you want to know what it's like to be with a movie star? Naruto blinked and looked at the bartender who was simply cleaning glasses and watching the dialogue between them with an amused grin. Naruto turned back to Yuki. First of all, I tend to avoid hooking up with drunk women as a personal bylaw. Second of all, you wouldn't even know what you were getting yourself into. Now let's go. I'm sure you can take your drinks with you, and I'm paying. Sanandayu's waiting. He's pretty upset right now. All he's worried about is me and his meal ticket. Let someone else play Princess Gale. Movies switch actors' roles all the time. Another actress can take my place in the next movie. I'm not going to the land of snow no matter what you say. Naruto sighed and sat down at the bar next to Yuki. Yo, Ren, get me a quick shot. Top shelf stuff if you would. The bartender nodded and grabbed what Naruto asked for. Finally decided to quit and let me do what I want? Yuki gloated before downing more alcohol. And you even decided to drink and keep me company. Naruto shook his head, keeping his eyes forward at the bar. Nope, not quite. One shot, no matter how strong it is, won't do anything to me. I'm just drinking so I can get myself ready to be bitched out for what I'm about to do. Before she could ask what he was talking about, another Naruto clone appeared behind her and grabbed a point on her neck, rendering her unconscious, slumped over the counter. Naruto took his shot and swiftly downed it, grimacing at the taste before pulling the money out to pay and dropping it on the counter. He stood up and hoisted Yuki up over his shoulder. Later, Ren? I'll probably be right back here after the mission is over, so I'll see you soon enough. True to his previous thought, Naruto was indeed chewed out once he got Yuki to the front gate. Mostly by Sakura, who only refrained from trying to hit him due to him outranking her, and the fact that she still had never forgotten him dropping her with one punch all those years ago. Sandayu almost fainted at seeing the actress out cold. Once the princess was set inside of the carriage intended to transport her, still unconscious. The ninja got everyone moving to the coast, hopefully able to make it there by the end of the day. The group moved surprisingly fast. and got to the ship intended to transport them by sunset, where Naruto proceeded to drop the woman he was intended to protect in her cabin on the bed. Naruto shook his head as he looked her over. She was very beautiful, that much was for certain, but her attitude needed a serious adjustment. He was about to leave her until something caught his eye around her neck. He got closer and almost backed away in surprise. No way. The last time I saw that was 10 years ago. He looked at the woman that was out cold and tried to dredge her face up from memory. It is her. Holy shit. Flashback 10 years ago. The land of snow. Naruto. Age 5 Naruto was sent on a simple mission of reconnaissance to the land of snow by Danzo as his first assignment in order to get his feet wet in the kind of work he was to do. This was intended to supply Danzo with information on what was to go on in the country. The old master of espionage was well informed that there was underlying turmoil being stirred up in the court of the daimyo, even though the man himself was unaware, and Naruto was to bring back info determining whether or not Danzo should send any of his root ninja under the radar to push things along for one side or the other to keep the status quo among the nations. This seemingly easy mission, however, would be the first sign of a pattern of Naruto's propensity for drawing missions that undoubtedly would go sour as soon as he began. Shortly after arriving in the capital city of the country and beginning to record his findings, a ruckus broke out at the daimyo's castle. An entire attacking force made of amassed mercenaries and ninja from a new small village, Yukigakure, took on the outmatched royal guards of the daimyo wa. Staying hidden in the shadows the entire time, he forsook taking his notes, and made it a priority to get the hell out of Dodge before he was caught in the crossfire. It wasn't his fight, and he had no reason to stay there any longer. As he made his way out of the city under siege, he saw one of the most famous men his village had ever produced. Gravity-defying hair, face mask covering his nose and lower face, and Hida 8 covering nothing. His single Sharingan eye was out and looking behind him as he drove a sled out of the area with a small girl, 4 years older than Naruto, away from pursuing forces also on sleds. Either get discovered or allow Kakashi Hatake and the girl he was protecting to be caught and maybe killed by the people after him. Kakashi was too valuable to allow to die, and having Konoha fail a mission like this, no matter the circumstances, would undoubtedly have negative economic repercussions for years to come. Naruto pulled a plain white mask over his face and jumped out into the open between the retreating Kakashi and the pursuit force. Facing down the enemy of the copy ninja, Naruto made a quick set of hand seals and linked his fists together before pushing them out. Wind release, divine fist of the wind god. Naruto shot off a full power burst of wind from his knuckles, not worried about missing, knowing that they didn't even see him standing in the way, fully focused on Kakashi. The shimmering wind attack hit them all with the blunt force of a brick wall, and at the speed they were moving on sled, it might as well have been one, as the concussive force killed everyone it hit on impact. It missed one, however, as he jumped off of the sleds and over the attack, letting his fellow warriors perish from Naruto's jutsu to cover his next move. He rapidly descended and attempted to crush the young root under his heel. Naruto rolled aside and slid to a stop on the surface of the ice. Naruto patiently looked the man over. He had a forehead protector similar to the second Hokage, only with the insignia of Yukigakure. A gray high ponytail, an odd set of armor, and an arrogant look on his face. He laughed at the diminutive ninja facing off with him. This is what they send to protect the princess? A baby ninja and copy ninja Kakashi? He stopped laughing and sneered at Naruto. You allowed Kakashi and Princess Koyuki to escape. Dodo-sama will at the very least reward me when I return with your head. Naruto had used a lot of his chakra, hoping that he would blow away the entire contingent with that one attack that he got them off guard with. Seeing one had survived didn't really bode well for him, especially since he looked to be a top-flight adversary. He slowly drew the small tipless tanto he was provided early in his career for combat before wordlessly rushing his enemy. The man quickly drew his own kunai to clash against Naruto with, when he slashed at him, "You're just a little brat playing ninja. Get that useless toy out of my face." Naruto felt himself being pushed back. Even if he wasn't physically inferior to his opponent, he was still only 5 years old. The pure size that the man had over his own was too much of a decisive factor. He learned this the hard way when the man simply held him off with one hand, grabbed his collar and slung him across the landscape, Naruto's body hitting the solid ground with a thud and sliding to a steady stop. Naruto stood up and lifted his tanto to swiftly block a kunai intended for his chest, only to see his enemy close in. Naruto rolled under the man's lunge and took his legs out from under him with the sudden move. Naruto tried to scramble to his feet only to take a kick to the face from the man that knocked his mask off as he himself picked himself up. Naruto shook the cobwebs of the kick off and saw the Yuki ninja attempt to stab at him with a kunai. Naruto diverted the stab with the tanto, but a grown man being blocked completely by a 5-year-old boy with a little over 1 complete year of training. The best training feasibly possible, yes, and far from being a normal little boy, but still only 1 year of it and still a little boy, was an impossibility. Naruto still wound up stabbed in the side with the kunai, watching the man smirk as he let out a pained gasp as blood began to flow onto the ground. He weakly elbowed the man off of him, freeing the kunai and spilling even more blood onto the ground as he weakly held his tanto up despite the blood loss. "You ignorant runt," the man taunted. "Did you really think you could kill Nadare? I'm the finest ninja Yukigakure has to offer." Naruto finally spoke, as he could feel blood welling up inside of his mouth. "If you're the best that your village has, then you're lucky I fought you instead of Hatake. I'm only 5. He could see that his comment rose the ire of Nadare and that wasn't going to do him any favors while he was wounded. "I can't die now, not on my first mission. I promised Danzo Gigi I would be the best ninja there ever was. The best don't die like this. Do you want to live, boy? What? You heard me? Do you want to live?" There was no one else around, but then he remembered what Danzo had told him shortly after his training began. The fox that had attacked the village the day he was born was entrusted to him when the fourth sealed it inside of him. Danzo said he could use it as a weapon, but he had never felt anything. Until now, can you give me enough power to survive this? The laughter of the demon echoed throughout Naruto's mind, and Nadare circled him like a predator. Give you such a minuscule amount of power just to survive? Why not enough to eradicate this pathetic human in one blow? Very well, you asked, you shall receive. Just stay alive. Naruto immediately felt his entire body re-energized. The wound on his side faded from a biting pain, to a dull throb, to nothing at all in just seconds. Nadare saw this all as an orange aura began to generate off of his body and proceeded to move in to attack before anything else could be done. Naruto slammed his tanto against Nadare's kunai, only this time he held fast. His heart was pumping a mile a minute as he held the larger figure back. He freed one hand, noticing how his nails had sharpened, and swiped at the man's exposed face, causing him to recoil in pain and let Naruto slam his fist into his face, sending him flying backwards. Naruto didn't stick around to survey his damage dealt as he took off, in order to leave the country in the midst of its insurgents. End flashback. Ah, good times, Naruto heard the QB say inside of his head. Naruto had wandered out onto the deck and sat out there as night fell, and everything went still on the ship. What's going on around here? He wondered to himself, and to the QB as it was the only soundboard for any input and ideas. I can see why she doesn't want to go back to the land of snow after everything that went down that forced her away, but still. He shut his eyes and thought, it's just for the movie. Once the movie's done she can leave. As long as no one recognizes her, then she'll be fine. Who'll be fine? Naruto turned and saw Tenten walking up to him. You've been out here for a while. Naruto sighed. Meh, don't worry about it. By the way, in case anything goes down, you're second in command. Tenten blinked before narrowing her eyes. This isn't a way for you to get on my good side, is it? Is it working? Naruto quipped before getting serious. No. It has to be you because you have more experience than Sakura. And while Sai has way more experience than you, he's not one for leading squads, if you get my drift. He looked around. Where are Sakura and Sai anyway? Tenten pointed behind her, below deck. Me and Sakura were talking for a while with the rest of the film crew and all of that. Sai went off on his own, writing stuff in a notebook. He's kind of odd, isn't he? Naruto laughed slightly. Everybody's got quirks. At least he isn't ranting about youth or fate. Ten nodded and stared out at the sea along with Naruto for a while before speaking. So you said we were going to talk later. Well, it's later now, isn't it? It is. He still wanted to wait until the mission was over, but Ten was a very stubborn girl. The kind he tended to attract. God, how did he not see this coming? Naruto rubbed his jaw and spoke. Okay then, you want to talk? Let's talk. Go ahead and fire away, Ten, and I'll tell you what I can. Ten looked at him intently. You had sex with that Tayuya girl next door to you? Naruto nodded. Yeah. She wanted it. I didn't back down. Why would I have? I'm 15, and it was sex. With Tayuya. It was really, really hot once you get past the attitude. And the swearing. And I would do it again too. I care about her a lot. Ten frowned. And Hamako, your assistant? Helper? What is she? Naruto shrugged. I don't know. Assistant sounds good. Although it could double as girlfriend now, though, if she has anything to say about it. Ten raised an eyebrow at him. You did her too? Shaking his head rapidly, Naruto disputed her claim. No, I haven't. Not yet anyway, I should say. I care about her a lot too. She's the only link to my family and clan that I have, and I'm the same to her. I would never leave Hamako-chan alone. Not after what she told me. Naruto locked eyes with Ten. She told me she loved me. Not like a brother, not like a benefactor, legit loved me. He noticed Ten look down in defeat, and she isn't the only one. Ten let out a sigh. So you finally got it, did you? Naruto nodded. Yeah. Temari-chan does too. So does Yugi-chan, so do you. Wait. Ten's head snapped back up. Other girls like you too? Naruto could only scratch his head in confusion. It's just as weird to me as it is to you. Yugi-chan is from Kumo, though. I swear I'm seriously not trying to do all of this stuff. It just happens when I go places. I don't want to hurt you or any of these women. How can I pick? Ten stared at him before a smile crossed her face. So the only one you have is Hamako for sure, right? Since she's bonded to your clan no matter what. Naruto nodded. Ten then moved in and kissed him on the cheek. Well, then I better get myself in gear and put my name in for consideration, shouldn't I? Naruto stared at her vacantly. What? Ten giggled. You just said that you don't really have a girlfriend, that you and Tayuya only had sex for the fun of it. You're still on the market as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not letting this drop. You will be mine, Naruto-kun, count on it. With that, Ten confidently stood up and walked back inside, making a show of waving her backside as she vanished, leaving Naruto by himself outside. Naruto stood staring at where Ten had just been walking for upwards of 2 minutes before talking. Wait a minute, what the hell just happened? The Kyuubi was laughing maniacally in Naruto's head. For such a powerful human, you sure whipped by the females in your life, boy. Naruto growled audibly at the Kyuubi's taunts before he stopped and thought, Hey, did you just actually vocally admit I'm one of the most powerful people in the world? Kyuubi stopped laughing abruptly. No, You? I mean... Sigh, shut up, kid. Naruto grinned and looked back out at the ocean. Ah, Kyuubi, I love you too, you big furball of amassed violence and hatred. I really can't wait to eat you, the powerful entity growled inside of his container. Oh, the next day had the team on basic guard duty while the film crew shot the scenes that they were able to on the ship. Having never seen one of her movies before, Naruto had to admit that Yuki really was a fantastic actor. Now, if only that translated over into her having a great personality, there would be something there. Honestly, he was more surprised that she wasn't visibly hungover from all the drinking she had done yesterday. She's like a completely different person once the cameras turn on, Sakura commented from nearby, getting a nod out of Naruto. That's Yuki. The director commented, Once it's time to play that character, there's no one like her in the world. She was born to do this role. Naruto turned towards the area away from the chute to see Sai, leaning on the railing of the ship with his notebook out. How are you holding up, Sai? Sai turned his attention to Naruto. Just fine, Naruto-senpai, though I am learning much about interaction between others from you, for instance. Naruto cut him off before he could say a word. Ten raising an amused eyebrow as she heard what Sai was saying. Sakuhai. I have not handled a single personal relationship the right way since this mission has started, at all. Everything I did yesterday, absolutely everything. It would be better for you if you just forgot that it ever happened. How long have you been taking notes? Sai flipped back in his book to the indicated point, since the point in time where you drank with Fujikaze-san, to diffuse her temper in order to ease the difficulty, to have your way with her. Allowing her to drop her guard and let you get close. He stared at Naruto expressionlessly, blinking at regular intervals. Naruto deadpanned a look at Sai, opening his mouth before thinking on it and trying to speak again. Okay, that actually works depending on exactly what kind of personal relations you're aiming for. However, that is a whole nother conversation I don't feel like having here in the open. Naruto turned to the others only to see Ten smirking and Asakura shaking her head with a dry look on her face. Oh, quit gawking. You ain't being paid to look at me. And Sakura, do you really think you can do a better job teaching Sai about relationships? Asakura had a smile come onto her face from the banter. Better than you, I'm sure. Really? Naruto said, getting into the spirit. Well, let's backtrack, shall we? In the academy, you basically threw your best friend away for a guy that showed no interest at the age of 10. 10? You just now got around to fixing that not too long ago. And that's probably because the guy had issues and left the village, thus taking away the point of your conflict. And don't even get me started on Sasuke team himself, because that's about 2 hours of griping right there. You try to fuck anything with legs and a uterus, Sakura shot back. I thought you weren't a pervert, she said tauntingly. Naruto frowned. Okay, I'm somewhat a pervert, but in my defense, I never had a chance. Look who all of my most prominent sensei were. Kakashi Hatake and Jiraiya of the Sannin. One reads porn everywhere he goes, blatantly and brazenly. The other writes said porn, among other unscrupulous activities. I'm well balanced by comparison. Which is weird because the way I live and as strong as I am, you would think that I would have some extreme quirk at some point, right? He then stopped and snapped back. Hey, I don't try to fuck anything with legs and a uterus. I've only ever done it once, he sniffed haughtily. And I haven't tried to fuck you yet, have I? Yes, you have, she said dryly. I count all of the stuff you did when we were first Genin as you trying to fuck me. Naruto gave her a perplexed look. You thought I was trying to fuck you back then. I barely understood what that implied until right after the Chunin exams. I just wanted to date you. I was simple like that. I figured that was the pinnacle of what I was going to get out of you. What made you think all I wanted was to fuck you? He looked her over. Though now I might be considering it. You filled out quite a bit, Sakura. Asakura gaped at Naruto before growling with a flustered face. Naruto! Naruto shook his finger at her chidingly. Superior officer standing here. I'm not one to abuse my power, but in this case I'm more than willing to as long as you don't hit me. Hey, we've got a scene going here. The director snapped at Naruto and Sakura. Sorry, both of them said before Sakura went to silently fuming at Naruto. Ten noticed Sai writing dutifully in his notebook and looked over to see what he was doing. What are you writing in there? Sai simply read back what he had been writing. Friends tease and provoke one another by bringing up negative character traits that distinguish them as well as bring up examples from the past that serve little other purpose than points of humor. Also, friends of opposite sex tease one another with innuendo-laden remarks and suggestions, such as what Naruto-senpai did with Ugly over there. Ten sweat dropped, yeah. I wouldn't try that with anyone if I were you. People don't like being called derogatory names like Ugly. That's no way to make friends. Sai simply looked at the bun-haired girl. Well, I understand that nicknames are a way to endear yourself to the people around you. If that is the case and going along with all of the other things I've learned thus far, I think have a name for Naruto-senpai. You do? Ten asked. This Sai guy was totally weird. Did he really not know anything about other people? What is it then? Ten moved her ear closer to Sai so that he could whisper the name to her. Ten choked back a laugh and patted Sai on the back. I would keep that to myself at least until we're done with the mission. It might disrupt things if you start calling him that. Sai gave her one of his smiles. Okay, bun girl. Bun girl? Ten asked herself before remembering her hairstyle. Well, he might not be totally clueless at the name-giving thing. The crew and the ninja protection detail disembarked from the ship on the side of a massive glacier. As the crew took to setting up the lights and sets for the shots, the director ran around manically. Yes. This is absolutely perfect for the fight scene I have written out. Who says that going on location to shoot is dead? As the fight scene began being filmed, an explosion rocked the glacier, causing a slab to crack from the top of it towards the crew. Naruto narrowed his eyes and sprang into action, jumping in front of everyone and making his hand seals before linking his fists together and thrusting them out. Divine fist of the wind god. Naruto viciously smashed the chunks of ice to harmless powder with the force his jutsu hit the debris with. Get into standard defense formation. Naruto knew his allies were astute, and learned enough to know the simple formation, and was not disappointed when they immediately backed him up. It's just like last time. Yuki began to panic as the chaos started building. I should never have come back here again. She began to run off in no particular direction, getting a growl out of Naruto for making his particular job that much more difficult. Sakura. Naruto barked. Go get Yuki and get her back to the ship. Keep watch over her until this is all over. Sakura nodded and went after her to fulfill Naruto's order. As Sakura drew near Yuki, a large man on a snowboard quickly bared down on both women. Ten saw this and broke formation to cut him off. She quickly brought out a scroll and produced a large metal sphere spiked with kunai welded into it that she threw into the man's path before it suddenly exploded. Showing a great amount of navigational skill on his board, the man dodged all of the shrapnel and debris from Ten's ball. Well, I remember that jutsu. Naruto's eyes turned red and slitted for a moment as his memory dredged up recollection of who the voice belonged to. I remember that face too. Suddenly appearing in front of Naruto and Sai was the Yuki Nin from Naruto's last escapade in the land of snow. It's good to see you again, boy. From the looks of your face, the years haven't treated you too kindly, have they? Naruto scoffed. Look who's talking. Although I guess you wouldn't mention the little gift I left you the first time we met, would you? Naruto was referring to a small vertical scar right under the man's right eye. The glare he got for that remark settled him down enough to get Sai in order. Sai Kuhai, go back up Ten-chan. This is their squad leader. Sai nodded and rushed off to take on Ten's adversary alongside her. Now, Nedar, Naruto said as he set himself in a fighting stance. Let's get to round 2, shall we? I have a habit of paying back all of the few bastards that left scars on me when I was kid. Lucky you. You were the first one that did, and you're also the last one left alive. Not for long, though. Nedar put his hand out expectantly. Just hand over the princess, punk. You couldn't beat me then. You can't beat me now. Princess? Naruto feigned ignorance, but the only princess here is an actress that plays a princess in movies. You might be able to get an autograph, though, but I doubt it. She's kind of a bitch. Nedar narrowed his eyes. You were there. You can't tell me you don't recognize Yuki as Princess Koyuki. He let out a short laugh. Still a brat that doesn't know any better. Nedar taunted, Yuki Gakura has made some improvements over the last 10 years that you couldn't imagine. You won't get a lucky shot in on me again the way you did last time. Funny, Naruto said as his face turned stone serious. That was going to be my line. With that, Naruto lowered his center of gravity and rushed at Nedar, who immediately jumped back out of his hand-to-hand range. Sai swiftly made his way over to Ten. However, before he could get to her, he found himself trapped once a pillar of ice encased his body, freezing him solid. A woman in a gray winter hat with 2 pink pigtails sticking out the side appeared with a smirk on her face. Ice prison jutsu! Sai's body suddenly turned to ink within the pillar. The woman then found herself forced to dodge a swing of Sai's tanto as he appeared behind her. As she got away from Sai's surprise attack, she sneered at him. "You're rather talented to avoid that in the blink of an eye like that." Sai said nothing and pulled his scroll from his back. The Yuki Kunoichi made a tiger seal as a burst of ice flew up around her and took the form of miniature swallows. "Ice release! Swallow snowstorm!" The sharp-winged projectiles scattered about, before focusing in a straight line at Sai. Sai drew out his brush and special scroll. Super Beast's imitation picture. Sai quickly drew a gigantic leech, 3 times Sai's size, that covered his body, taking the brunt of the attack from the enemy jutsu as it riddled the leech's body. It eventually turned to ink and dripped to the ground, revealing Sai had vanished again. The woman licked her lips. Cute, and somewhat talented. With 10, 10, 10, 10 threw a salvo of kunai and shuriken at the large man, but instead of impaling him on contact, they simply bounced off of his body. The man barreled on through her attack on his snowboard and slammed his body into her, sending her sprawling through the snow. The man laughed as 10-10 stood up, glaring at him. "Your little projectiles won't get anywhere near me as long as I have my chakra armor on and active." "Chakra armor," 10-10 said distastefully. "What a useless shortcut." The large man simply laughed at her. "Say that when I'm alive and you're dead." He placed his right arm out at 10-10 and seemingly fired it out at her when she realized that it was a weapon. She dodged the hand that flew past her and grabbed into the ground, but when she turned back towards her opponent, he was coming right for her, being pulled in by a cable attached to the hand behind her. 10-10 quickly summoned a katana to avoid being smashed into fully by the man's metal snowboard. It did still make impact with her and send her sliding through the snow once more. 10-10 rolled through to her feet this time, getting angry at this person. He wasn't even really that good, but he was troublesome to try and fight with her style. He could ignore her projectiles for the most part and just run right through to attack her. This guy was seriously getting under her skin with the way he was just snowboarding all over the place. He wasn't even moving that fast. The markswoman in her just wanted to fill his slow ass with projectiles and be done with it, but that damn armor was in the way. She was about to seriously test that crap out and see who had the better tools. With Naruto was sick of Nader playing keep away with him, getting him to finally back off. "Here's a throwback for you, Wind Release. Divine Fist of the Wind God." Naruto fired off one of his oldest and most favored ninjutsu at Nader, who simply allowed it to hit him flush before it simply dispersed in front of an odd-colored shield of light. "What?" Nadare smirked. "Like I said, Yukigakure has made improvements that you couldn't even imagine, boy. Our chakra armor is the pinnacle of shinobi technological research." Hearing this didn't faze Naruto at all. "Then I'll just have to break it, won't I?" "If you think you can, go ahead and try it." Nader began making a set of hand seals. "Ice Release. Tearing Dragon. Fierce Tiger." From the ice surrounding the field of battle, a massive dragon-bodied tiger formed and went at Naruto. Naruto moved, and the jutsu crashed harshly into the glacier, quaking the surface and cracking it from the collision. He still wasn't safe, however, as the tiger penetrated the surface and continued its pursuit. It came so close to his body the temperature dropped immediately. If it had hit him, it would have flash frozen him. While the respective battles were raging on, the director was screaming at his crew to get all of this on film, saying it was better than any script. Dodging this tiger was beginning to utterly piss Naruto off. He turned towards Nader and saw him holding his hands in his last seal. Grinning widely at what he saw as a sitting duck, Naruto began rushing straight towards Nader, choosing to completely ignore the tiger altogether. Nader saw Naruto coming and pumped more chakra into the jutsu, speeding up the tiger, adding more mass to it, and putting more force behind it. It crashed right into the ground behind Naruto's feet, drudging up a cloud of powder snow and ice chunks. Nader smirked as he felt the glacier begin to collapse from his jutsu. There was no way the kid walked away from that. His party was short-lived, however, when the blonde figure of his hatred flew out of the cloud of snow and delivered a jaw-shattering punch that sent Nader's body flying before smacking roughly against a wall of ice. Naruto goaded Nader from a distance as the glacier started to split. "I thought you said I wasn't going to sucker punch you again?" He could feel the place coming down around them, getting him to glare at Nader, who had picked himself up, rubbing his red jaw. "You're lucky," Naruto started making his way back to the ship, yelling around for his partners, Saikuhai, Ten-Ten-chan. This place is going down. We need to get out of here. Ten-Ten looked back at a retreating Naruto and narrowed her eyes at her opponent. You better hope we don't see you again. The man grinned at her untastefully as Nader called out to his own squad to fall back. Mizore, Fubuki, with me. The woman, Fubuki, ceased her battle with Sai and winked at the boy before making her way to her leader. I'll see you later, cutie. Sai simply blinked and stared emotionlessly before moving to get back to the ship with the rest of his team. Naruto, Ten-Ten, and Sai reconvened on board where they watched the glacier quickly break apart into small chunks and sink. Naruto sighed and slumped against the siding. Too many X factors or else I would have torn that asshole apart. He looked at himself and noticed the back of his arms, legs, and torso had a layer of ice on it. That last jutsu must have been closer than I thought. Ten-Ten frowned. You're not the only one. That stupid giant with the armor. I was about to put him under. The glacier was unstable. Sai commented. Naruto nodded. That was the only thing keeping me from tearing Nader to pieces. Using anything high level enough to maybe get through his armor would have done just as much damage as the idiot's last attack, if not more. It would have definitely taken the glacier out if I had used it. Naruto shrugged. Oh well, he wasn't worth it anyway. Asakura came running up to her team. Are you guys alright? Naruto blinked before looking at his fingertips and toes. Can you cure frostbite, Sakura? And that's it for the video. Until next time. Later.